Chapter 959. The wedding preparation has begun. New AHSS chapters are out. Please read them and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Enough with the bad news. I formed this order to hear something intriguing. Do any of you have any interesting updates? Michael calmly inquired, his eyes fixed on his subordinates. To his relief, his subordinates had been diligent in gathering information that would captivate the Dark Lord. Sadie, in particular, had utilized her network of spies and collaborated with Arya to eliminate guardians and nobles, uncovering valuable secrets and precious information. My lord, I bring you a piece of good news. Sadie leaned forward eagerly in her chair. Ever since the Sky Hall's execution team forced Noah out of his role as Supreme Guardian, the Guardian Guild has fallen into disarray. It has splintered into multiple factions, each led by influential guardians vying for power. The guild is now a wounded beast, and it won't be long before these factions tear it apart. One particular faction has made a remarkable discovery on Azare continent. An ancient celestial energy deposit. I have been monitoring their movements closely as they attempt to locate this deposit with the assistance of the Nightwalkers, Sadie explained, choosing to avoid the term vampires in front of the elder vampires. They preferred the term Nightwalkers. We had actually planned to unearth the energy deposit and present it to you upon your return, but it seems you've come back earlier than anticipated, Sadie expressed with a click of her tongue, realizing her words may have come across as unintentionally negative. However, Michael chuckled in response. So you weren't quite ready for me to return just yet? I see, Michael chuckled, diffusing the tension in the room with a touch of humor. Oh no, my lord. That's not what I meant, Sadie quickly interjected, scratching the back of her head and offering an apologetic smile. Trista. Michael shifted his gaze towards the striking red-haired vampire. Your task is to take care of the guardians on the island and locate the energy deposit. And don't worry, I haven't forgotten about Lenora. I have already initiated the process of reconstructing her body. It may take some time, but she will be restored to her former self before you know it, Michael declared, leaving Trista stunned. Her eyes shimmered with a mix of gratitude and relief. Trista had been fearful that the Dark Lord had forgotten about Lenora, but it seemed he had not. However, Michael's promise of reconstructing Lenora's body was not an immediate reality. Nonetheless, providing Trista with hope and motivation to fulfill his orders had its own advantages. I will see to it personally, my lord, Elder Trista affirmed with a smile, revealing her fangs. Turning his gaze back to Sadie, Michael's voice dripped with chilling intensity. Sadie, I want you to gather every piece of information available about the Great 8 clans, he commanded, a menacing grin spreading across his face. Now that he had achieved the half-celestial stage, Michael had made up his mind to eliminate all the Great 8 clans and establish his reign of darkness. It was time to uproot his enemies and assert his dominance. Michael took a deep breath, allowing the weight of the silence to settle in the hall. His calm demeanor and gentle smile held the attention of his subordinates, who were eagerly awaiting his next words. I have a special task for all of you, Michael began, his voice filled with a hint of mystery. The subordinates exchanged puzzled glances, wondering what this task could be. Gaia herself was caught off guard, unaware that Michael was about to reveal their secret. I want you all to come together and create the most magnificent wedding ceremony the world has ever seen, Michael announced, his words causing a wave of astonishment to wash over the room. The subordinates were left in awe, trying to piece together who could be getting married. Even Gaia, caught up in the moment, couldn't help but feel a mixture of surprise and excitement, unaware that the wedding Michael spoke of was their own. With a playful roll of her eyes, Ayag perched atop Michael's shoulder, expressing her impatience. Michael's eyes sparkled with excitement as he addressed his subordinates once again. Utilize all resources at your disposal and spare no expense. I want to be amazed, Michael emphasized, his voice filled with anticipation. Michael's gaze shifted towards Gaia, his eyes filled with love and admiration. I have found the most incredible woman in the world, and I am going to marry her, he declared, his voice filled with genuine affection. Gaia's heart skipped a beat as she locked eyes with Michael, a mixture of surprise and joy shining in her eyes. Gaia's heart swelled with happiness as Michael's words sank in. A radiant smile graced her face, and her eyes sparkled with joy. The thought of their impending wedding filled her with a sense of excitement and anticipation. She couldn't have asked for a more perfect partner than Michael, the man she deeply loved and admired. In that moment, she felt a profound sense of gratitude and contentment, knowing that they were about to embark on a lifelong journey together. As the subordinates observed the exchange between Michael and Gaia, they couldn't help but be captivated by the undeniable chemistry and deep connection that radiated between them. It was as if the Dark Lord and the Dark Queen were destined to be together, their souls intertwined in a bond that transcended time and space. They witnessed the tender way Michael looked at Gaia, and the genuine happiness that filled Gaia's eyes as she gazed back at him. It was evident to everyone in the room that they were witnessing a pair made in heaven, a perfect match in every sense. The subordinates couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and admiration for the love that blossomed between their leaders, and they knew that this union would only strengthen their cause and bring them closer to their shared goals. Eve's heart leaped with delight as she heard the joyful news of Michael and Gaia's impending wedding. She couldn't contain her excitement, and a wide smile spread across her face. In that moment, a surge of pure happiness coursed through her veins, and she felt an overwhelming urge to express her joy. Unable to resist the overwhelming emotions, Eve stood up from her chair, her eyes brimming with tears of happiness. Without hesitation, she took a few quick steps and swiftly closed the distance between herself and the couple. With her heart overflowing with love and excitement, she enveloped both Michael and Gaia in a warm, tight embrace. In that tender moment, the trio shared an unspoken bond of friendship and camaraderie. Eve's hug conveyed her genuine happiness for their union and her deep affection for both of them. It was a testament to the unbreakable bond they had formed over the years. As she held them close, the room was filled with an aura of warmth and love, as if their embrace symbolized the unity and support of their loyal friendship. Eve's presence and heartfelt embrace further solidified the joyous atmosphere in the hall. The subordinates watched with smiles on their faces, their hearts touched by the genuine love and friendship displayed before them. They knew that Eve's gesture was a testament to the unbreakable bond shared between these three extraordinary individuals, and they couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of unity and happiness. Eve's eyes sparkled with joy as she held Michael and Gaia in her embrace, and with heartfelt sincerity, she shared her congratulations. "God! You two are finally going to tie the knot. I couldn't be happier for you," Eve exclaimed, her voice filled with excitement and happiness. "You found your perfect match, Ghost. Gaia, you've captured the heart of our mighty Dark Lord. This is a moment to celebrate." Eve continued, her words filled with genuine warmth and affection. "I can't think of a more deserving couple to embark on this incredible journey of love and unity," Eve expressed, her voice brimming with admiration. "As your best friend, I'll be by your side every step of the way, supporting you both in creating the most enchanting and unforgettable wedding imaginable," Eve vowed, her eyes shining with sincerity. As the news of Michael and Gaia's impending wedding sank in, a wave of excitement and joy swept through the room. The subordinates exchanged glances, their faces beaming with happiness, and one by one, they approached the thrones to offer their heartfelt congratulations. Arya, the Queen of Shadows, stepped gracefully towards them, her voice filled with warmth. "Your love is an inspiration to us all. May your wedding be a celebration of light and darkness intertwined, uniting two souls destined to conquer the world together." Maxine, the Queen of Power, beamed with pride. "I have witnessed your strength and determination firsthand. Now, let your love shine as brightly as the sun, guiding us all towards a future filled with hope and prosperity." Tiberius, the King of War, stood tall and spoke with unwavering loyalty. "You have proven yourselves as formidable leaders. Let your union serve as a symbol of unity, forging alliances and bringing peace to our lands." Dalar, the King of the Undead, approached with a respectful bow. "May your love transcend boundaries, just as the darkness embraces all. Together, you shall lead us into a new era, where even the shadows shall find solace." Sadie, the Queen of Whispers, spoke softly, her eyes filled with sincerity. "Your love story is like a whispered secret, spreading hope and courage. May your wedding be a symphony of secrets shared, binding us all in unity." Ricky, with his jovial nature, couldn't contain his excitement. "Cheers to the Dark Lord and the Dark Queen. Let this wedding be a grand feast, filled with laughter, joy, and everlasting memories." Titus and Optimus, the Kings of Supplies, shared a knowing smile. "In the realm of love, you have found the most valuable treasure. As we provide the materials for your wedding, know that we stand with you, ensuring every detail is perfect." Kori, the Queen of the Seas, raised her voice with enthusiasm. "From the depths of the ocean to the heights of the skies, your love will conquer all. May your wedding be a celebration of adventure and boundless possibilities." Gibson, the King of the Skies, expressed his admiration. Your love soars higher than any aircraft. Let your wedding be a testament to the heights we can reach when love guides our path. Saber and Trista also offered their genuine well wishes with smiles and nods, expressing their support and joy for the couple. At that moment, surrounded by their loyal subordinates, Michael and Gaia felt an overwhelming sense of love and unity. The room was filled with congratulations, laughter, and heartfelt blessings, as the Dark Lord and the Dark Queen prepared to embark on a new chapter of their lives together. Michael's countenance shifted as the cheerful atmosphere settled, his smile fading into a serious and determined expression. He stood up from his throne, commanding the attention of his subordinates, who sensed the change in his demeanor. The room grew hushed, and a sense of anticipation filled the air. His voice resonated with intensity as he spoke, his words cutting through the silence like a sharp blade. I want a detailed report on the Sky Hall's execution team. I want to know every name, every face, and every connection they have. I will personally pay them a visit. The gravity of his words weighed heavily in the room, and a sense of unease crept through the subordinates. Michael's unwavering determination was evident, and they knew he meant business. The Dark Lord's thirst for vengeance against those who had wronged him was palpable, and his subordinates braced themselves for the storm that was about to be unleashed upon the Sky Hall's execution team. The subordinates exchanged silent nods, each understanding the importance of their task. They would delve into the depths of their intelligence networks, uncovering every piece of information related to the execution team. This would be a mission of utmost importance as they worked to unravel the web of conspiracies and connections that had led to the downfall of their beloved Guardian Guild. After giving his orders to his subordinates, Michael's gaze returned to his beloved Gaia. He spoke with a firm tone, concern evident in his eyes. You stay here and rest, Gaia. I don't want you to overexert yourself, Michael said, trying to reassure her. Gaia opened her mouth to object, but Michael gently placed his finger on her lips, silencing her. Eve Vidora, I want you to keep a close watch on her, Michael commanded, turning to his loyal friend and his three-headed Hydra companion. Eve nodded with determination. Don't worry, Michael. I won't let her lift a finger. We have plenty to do before the most important day in a girl's life. With a grateful smile, Michael acknowledged Eve's dedication. He gestured for Azazel, his loyal demon butler, to accompany him as he prepared to leave the hall. Just as he was about to step out, Gaia couldn't help but ask the question that lingered in her mind. Where are you going? Gaia inquired, her voice filled with curiosity and concern. Michael paused, his eyes flashing with a mixture of determination and a hint of menace. He turned to face Gaia, his expression hardening. I have unfinished business to attend to. There are things I've left behind, and it's time to reclaim what is rightfully mine, he replied, his voice carrying an undercurrent of unwavering determination. Chapter 960. The Dark Lord's Herbal Garden. Once a bustling and vibrant place, the Sunrise Sect now lay in eerie silence under the embrace of the night sky. The Lust Mountains, cloaked in darkness, loomed over the deserted sect with an air of mystery. The green forests that once flourished with life now appeared as dark shadows, their foliage rustling softly in the night breeze. The paved streets, once bustling with activity, now glistened under the pale moonlight. The intricate patterns and designs etched into the stone seemed to come alive, casting intricate shadows that danced along the empty pathways. The silence was broken only by the faint rustling of leaves and the distant hoots of nocturnal creatures. Where once disciples and cultivators filled the sect buildings, there were now only echoes of the past. The grandeur and opulence that once characterized the Sunrise Sect had faded into the obscurity of the night. The buildings stood as solemn sentinels, their windows dark and their halls empty. Amidst the night's stillness, the tranquility was shattered by the presence of silver-armored soldiers from the Sky Hall. Like phantoms, they patrolled the deserted streets with disciplined steps, their armor glimmering under the moonlight. Their watchful gazes scanned the surroundings, as if guarding the secrets of the abandoned sect. The Sky Hall's dismantling of sects had left its mark on the Sunrise Sect, transforming it into a ghostly shell of its former self. The disciples who once called this place home were scattered, forced to either abandon their cultivation or surrender to the authority of the Sky Hall's designated sections. The sect that was once a beacon of individuality and independence now lay under the watchful eyes of external control. Within the heart of the Sunrise Sect, hidden under the starry night sky, lay Michael's largest herbal garden. Enclosed by a glass dome, it shimmered like a precious gem in the darkness. Moonlight filtered through the transparent structure, casting a soft glow upon the diverse array of exotic plants and herbs that grew within. The herbal garden, once tended to by devoted cultivators, now stood untouched and unappreciated. Its vibrant colors and fragrant scents lingered in the air, a testament to the lost potential of the sect. The glass dome, normally a symbol of protection and growth, now seemed like a cage, trapping the garden's beauty within its confines. Under the enchanting glow of the moonlight, the herbal garden within the glass dome revealed its mesmerizing beauty. The plants and herbs that flourished within seemed to possess a magical allure, their forms vibrant and otherworldly. Tall, slender vines draped from the ceiling, their leaves shimmering with an ethereal radiance. Each leaf, adorned with intricate patterns and delicate veins, seemed to capture the moon's essence, casting a soft luminescence in the darkness. The vines intertwined with one another, forming a tapestry of colors that ranged from vivid greens to deep purples and fiery reds. Clusters of exotic flowers bloomed in every corner. Their petals were delicate and translucent, as if fashioned from moonlight itself. Their fragrances wafted through the air, blending harmoniously to create an intoxicating aroma that awakened the senses. Some flowers emitted a soft, gentle glow, as if carrying the stars within their very essence. Lush, emerald-green shrubs lined the pathways, their leaves glistening with dewdrops that sparkled like miniature stars. They seemed to whisper secrets of ancient knowledge, their presence exuding a sense of wisdom and tranquility. Mysterious herbs with shimmering iridescent leaves sprouted from the ground, their glow illuminating the intricate patterns etched into the stone path. In the center of the herbal garden, a tranquil pond mirrored the twinkling night sky above. Its surface, smooth as glass, reflected the beauty of the surrounding flora, creating a surreal spectacle of vibrant colors and celestial patterns. Magical creatures, unseen in the outside world, flitted about the pond, their iridescent wings casting iridescent reflections upon the water's surface. Within this enchanting sanctuary, the plants thrived under the gentle guidance of nature's forces. Their growth was nurtured by the moon's gentle caress and the celestial energies that permeated the glass dome. It was as if the garden itself held a delicate balance between the earthly and the ethereal, a testament to the ancient wisdom that resided within the Sunrise sect. As the group of Skyhall soldiers patrolled the area around the herbal garden, their silver armor gleaming under the moonlit night, a murmur of conversation filled the air. Their footsteps echoed softly against the paved pathway as they exchanged thoughts in hushed tones. "Have you seen this garden? It's a marvel, a place of beauty unlike anything I've ever seen," remarked one soldier, his voice tinged with awe. "I agree," another soldier chimed in, his gaze fixed upon the glass dome that encased the flourishing sanctuary. "It's a shame that such a precious creation will soon meet its end." A third soldier with a hardened expression interjected, "But we cannot forget that this garden was brought forth by Ghost, the one who is now known as the Dark Lord. The Sky Hall has deemed it a threat to our cause." A somber silence fell upon the group as they pondered the impending destruction of the enchanting herbal garden. A soldier, whose eyes betrayed a flicker of sadness, voiced his thoughts with a touch of defiance. "I understand our orders, but it still feels wrong. This place holds so much life and magic. It seems a waste to let it perish." A murmuring agreement rippled through the soldiers, each one grappling with conflicting emotions. They glanced around, ensuring that their conversation remained discreet, their allegiance to the Sky Hall overriding their personal opinions. "Remember our duty," a stern voice resonated. "The Dark Lord must be eliminated, and everything associated with him must be erased." "But this garden, it feels like a part of something greater," a soldier whispered, his voice filled with longing. "A symbol of the beauty that can be found even in the darkest of hearts." Their steps grew slower, their eyes glancing back at the glass dome that sheltered the vibrant life within. They could sense the pulsating energy, the living essence that seemed to emanate from the herbal garden. It stirred emotions they thought they had long buried. "Perhaps," one soldier murmured, his voice barely audible. "Perhaps there's more to this than we know. A potential for redemption, even within the Dark Lord himself." The group fell into contemplative silence, their thoughts entwined with uncertainty and the unspoken desire for a different path. But duty bound them to their mission, and the orders of the Sky Hall loomed above them, unyielding. With a heavy sigh, one soldier reluctantly broke the silence. "We have a job to do. The garden will not survive the night. Let us fulfill our duty swiftly and leave this place to its fate." And so, the group of Sky Hall soldiers continued their patrol, Their conflicted hearts weighed down by the knowledge that they would soon be the instruments of destruction, tasked with extinguishing the beauty that thrived within the glass dome. A sense of sorrow mingled with their unwavering loyalty, for they understood the cost of their allegiance and the sacrifice demanded by the path they had chosen. As the soldiers continued their patrol, their eyes scanning the surroundings, a strange sensation rippled through the air. The once radiant moon, casting its gentle glow upon the land, began to dim. Shadows lengthened and darkness spread across the sunrise mountain chain, shrouding everything in an eerie blackness. A soldier's voice quivered with uncertainty. What is happening? Why is it so dark? Another soldier glanced up at the sky, his voice laced with apprehension. Look, the moon. It's gone. There's only darkness up there. Whispers of fear and confusion spread among the soldiers, their gazes fixed upon the void where the moon should have been. The absence of its silvery light sent shivers down their spines, a haunting reminder of the Dark Lord who lurked in the shadows. Could it be the Dark Lord? One soldier murmured, his voice filled with trepidation. Is this his doing? The darkness seemed to press in on them, filling their hearts with a sense of unease. The soldiers exchanged wary glances, their minds clouded with thoughts of the Dark Lord's power and influence. Another soldier, his voice barely above a whisper, voiced the thoughts that plagued their minds. We've heard stories, tales of the Dark Lord's ability to command darkness itself. Is this a sign of his imminent presence? As the soldiers stood in the enveloping darkness, a mixture of fear and awe washed over them. They could not deny the unsettling familiarity of this eerie blackness, a darkness that mirrored the depths of the Dark Lord's influence. Their breaths quickened, their senses heightened as if anticipating an imminent confrontation with an overwhelming force. The soldiers tightened their grips on their weapons, readying themselves for whatever darkness would come. Amidst the palpable tension, a soldier's voice trembled, laced with a mix of dread and determination. We must stay vigilant, my comrades. The Dark Lord's reach knows no bounds. No matter the darkness that looms, we cannot falter in our mission. Our duty remains unchanged. Nodding in unison, the soldiers took a collective breath, their resolve solidifying in the face of the encroaching darkness. They would not waver, even as fear coursed through their veins. They were soldiers of the Sky Hall, standing as a barrier against the forces of darkness, no matter how overwhelming it may seem. And so, with hearts brimming with both fear and determination, the soldiers forged ahead, their steps steady and resolute. The absence of the moon's light only served to strengthen their resolve, reminding them of the immense task that lay before them in their battle against the enigmatic Dark Lord. As the darkness deepened, a chilling presence slithered through the shadows. Figures garbed in flowing dark robes emerged from the obscurity, their forms almost merging with the night. Only their gleaming fangs, exposed beneath their black hoods, betrayed their vampiric nature. The soldiers, their hearts pounding, froze in their tracks as the hooded figures closed in. The soldiers could feel the weight of their gaze, an intense scrutiny that sent shivers down their spines. Fear gripped their chests, tightening like an iron vice. Distant screams pierced the air, carried on the cold wind that swept through the mountain chain. The soldiers exchanged fearful glances, their expressions mirroring the horrors unfolding in the unseen depths of the darkness. The scent of blood, thick and metallic, tainted the air, assaulting their senses with its macabre presence. The soldiers knew that they were facing a force beyond their comprehension. The Dark Lord's minions had arrived, heralded by the ominous darkness and the echoes of agony that now resonated through the once tranquil landscape. Whispers of terror reverberated among the soldiers, each voice trembling with dread. What is happening? How can this be? The realization sank in. They were no match for the encroaching darkness and the relentless army of the Dark Lord. Their well-honed training and unwavering dedication now seemed futile in the face of such overwhelming malevolence. Yet, even in the midst of their terror, a flicker of defiance glimmered within some of the soldiers. They tightened their grips on their weapons, their resolve flaring like a solitary flame amidst the encroaching darkness. We must stand strong, one soldier spoke, his voice quivering with determination. For the Sky Hall, for our purpose, we cannot yield to the terrors of the Dark Lord. We fight for the light that still remains. When the soldiers steeled themselves, their hearts entwined with fear and valor, they prepared to face the oncoming onslaught. The hushed whispers and eerie silence gave way to the clash of metal against Fong, the screams of battle mingling with the cries of the Forsaken. As the vampires descended upon the Sky Hall soldiers, Their movements were a blur of inhuman speed and agility. With predatory grace, they pounced upon their unsuspecting targets, teeth bared and claws poised to strike. The soldiers fought desperately, their swords slashing through the air in a valiant attempt to defend themselves. But they soon discovered that these creatures were unlike anything they had ever encountered. Each strike aimed at severing a vampire's head, as they had been instructed, was met with lightning-quick evasion. The vampires twisted and contorted their bodies, evading the fatal blow with uncanny agility. Frantic whispers passed between the soldiers as they exchanged glances of frustration and determination. "The head! We must sever their heads!" one soldier cried, his voice filled with urgency. Their movements became more calculated as they adapted to the vampire's agility. The soldiers coordinated their attacks, attempting to corner the elusive creatures and strike with precise and decisive blows. Yet, despite their synchronized efforts, the vampires proved maddeningly elusive, slipping away from the edge of death each time. With each failed strike, the soldiers' frustration grew, but they refused to yield to despair. They fought on, driven by a relentless determination to protect their comrades and uphold their duty to the Sky Hall. The vampires, sensing their advantage, became even more ruthless and relentless. Their attacks grew fiercer, their claws ripping through armor and flesh with terrifying ease. Wounds that would have incapacitated a mortal soldier were shrugged off as the vampires regenerated their injuries almost instantaneously. The soldiers' faces contorted with a mix of astonishment and frustration as they witnessed this supernatural regeneration. The sight only fueled their determination to find a way to vanquish these seemingly invincible foes. Amidst the chaos, one soldier's eyes flickered with a glimmer of insight. "Fire!" he shouted above the tumultuous battle. "We must use fire. It's their weakness." The soldiers quickly adjusted their tactics, seeking out torches and any means to ignite flames. With renewed vigor, they unleashed a barrage of fire upon the vampires, the scorching flames searing their undead flesh. The vampires howled in agony, momentarily driven back by the onslaught. But even as the flames consumed them, the vampires refused to yield. Their bodies smoldered and charred, yet they emerged from the flames, their eyes burning with an unquenchable hunger for blood. The soldiers watched in awe and horror as the vampires, now engulfed in an inferno, continued to fight, undeterred by the pain and destruction inflicted upon them. The realization settled heavily in their hearts. These creatures were not easily defeated. As the battle between the soldiers and the vampires waged on, a few soldiers caught a glimpse of a figure shrouded in dark mist hovering above the herbal garden, surrounded by its protective glass dome. Their eyes widened in both awe and terror as they recognized the Dark Lord himself. Time seemed to stand still as the soldiers momentarily diverted their attention from the relentless fight to witness this ominous sight. The Dark Lord's presence cast an overwhelming aura of malevolence, his dark silhouette contrasting sharply against the backdrop of chaos and carnage. Suddenly, two beams of darkness shot forth from the Dark Lord's eyes, cutting through the air like deadly lasers. The ground beneath him trembled as he unleashed his power, his intent clear. With precise and calculated precision, he began to sever the earth around the herbal garden, creating a rift that encircled it. The soldiers watched in astonishment and trepidation as the ground split open, a deep chasm forming around the herbal garden. The earth groaned and rumbled, its ancient connection to the mountains severed by the Dark Lord's dark powers. Despite the chaos and destruction unfolding around them, the herbal garden remained untouched within its protective glass dome. The soldiers marveled at the Dark Lord's ability to isolate and lift the precious garden from the trembling ground without causing it harm. As the ground beneath the herbal garden began to rise, it seemed as though the very fabric of the mountain chain was being reshaped under the Dark Lord's command. The soldiers exchanged glances of disbelief, recognizing the extent of the Dark Lord's power and the magnitude of the force he commanded. The scene was both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a testament to the unparalleled strength and dark magic possessed by the Dark Lord. It became clear to the soldiers that they were mere pawns in a grand design, caught in a battle where the outcome had already been predetermined. With a surge of dark energy, the Dark Lord lifted the chunk of mountain containing the herbal garden onto his broad shoulders. The colossal weight seemed insignificant to him as he effortlessly bore the burden, the glass dome encasing the precious garden gleaming in the moonlight. It was a sight that defied all reason and comprehension. Meanwhile, in Rivertown, a settlement nestled at the foot of the Sunrise Mountain chain, the inhabitants paused in their daily activities as they beheld the astonishing spectacle unfolding in the distance. Gasps of disbelief and murmurs of confusion rippled through the crowd as their eyes fixated on the mountain that appeared to be tearing itself apart. "There! Look at the mountain!" a young girl exclaimed, her finger pointing towards the extraordinary scene. A hush fell over the townsfolk as they gazed at the sight before them. Whispers of awe and concern filled the air, blending with the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant rumbling of the earth. "What in the world is happening?" a worried villager questioned, his voice filled with both fear and intrigue. "There's no bloody way that's happening. It's a trick, I tell ya," a grizzled villager exclaimed, his voice laced with disbelief. "Gods above, is this the end of us all?" a woman cried out, tears streaming down her face. "By the heavens, what foul sorcery is this?" a wide-eyed merchant muttered, crossing himself in a desperate attempt to ward off the impending doom. The once thriving marketplace fell into disarray as vendors abandoned their stalls, their wares forgotten in the face of this unnatural spectacle. Fear etched itself deeply upon the faces of the townsfolk, their eyes locked on the mountain as it trembled under the Dark Lord's power. "Curse that accursed Dark Lord!" a man cursed through clenched teeth, his voice brimming with anger and terror. A sense of unease pervaded the air, accompanied by the acrid scent of burning ozone. The collective gasp of the crowd echoed through the silent streets, mingling with hurried footsteps as families sought shelter, seeking solace within the confines of their homes. "Pray for mercy, for we stand on the edge of damnation," a quivering voice whispered, the words carrying the weight of resignation. The once unshakable faith in the stability of their world crumbled beneath the weight of the Dark Lord's power. Cries for divine intervention mingled with the curses of those who felt abandoned by their gods. Fear took hold, casting its suffocating grip upon the hearts of the townsfolk. "This can't be real. It's a nightmare, it must be," a young woman exclaimed, her voice trembling with disbelief. Whispers of desperation and anguish intertwined as uncertainty swirled through the crowd. Vulgarities slipped past the lips of some, their shock and fear shattering the veneer of civility in the face of such otherworldly events. "Ill be damned! That bloody mountain is being torn apart like a rotting corpse," a gruff farmer exclaimed, his face contorted with a mix of horror and fascination. The townsfolk, normally bound by a sense of community, were now consumed by individual fears and doubts. The once familiar landscape had been transformed into a nightmarish tableau, with the Dark Lord's power looming above them. In the midst of the chaos, a resolute voice cut through the cacophony of panic. "Hold strong, my friends. We shall endure this darkness together." It was a rallying cry, a flickering flame of hope amidst the encroaching shadows. And though their hearts were heavy with fear, the people of Rivertown found solace in the strength they drew from one another, determined to weather the storm unleashed by the Dark Lord's malevolence. The Sky Hall, blinded by their arrogance, believed they could obliterate the herbal garden that Michael had painstakingly nurtured. They assumed he would passively allow their destructive flames to reduce his creation to ashes. Oh, how sorely mistaken they were! None among them could have fathomed the depths of his power and determination. In a move that defied their expectations, Michael unleashed a display of raw might and cunning. With a surge of dark energy, he severed the garden from the very ground it had been rooted in, lifting the colossal chunk of mountain onto his broad shoulders. The audacity of his action sent shockwaves through the ranks of the Sky Hall, their futile attempts at destruction rendered insignificant in the face of his command over the elements. The awe-inspiring sight of the Dark Lord, his figure bathed in a sinister aura, shouldering the weight of the garden like a titan of old, struck fear into the hearts of those who dared to oppose him. The celestial powers that coursed through his veins allowed him to soar above their reach, defying gravity and expectations alike. With a purposeful stride, he embarked on a journey, carrying the precious cargo of his creation towards the dark abyss of the ocean. Chapter 961. Guardian Guild's last chance. High above the Azer continent, the resplendent headquarters of the Guardian Guild stood as a testament to its grandeur and prestige. Adorned in pure white, its majestic architecture reached toward the heavens, reflecting the Guild's noble purpose of safeguarding the realm. Within the hallowed halls of the Guild, Alpha Guardian Alara Valrin presided over an emergency meeting. Aware of the imminent danger threatening to tear the Guild apart from within, she gathered the leaders of various factions to devise a plan to restore order and unity. The atmosphere was heavy with tension, each member keenly aware of the precarious state the Guild had fallen into. Since the Sky Hall execution team had ruthlessly stripped Noah of his revered title as the leader of the Guardian Guild and imprisoned Ethan Winston, Noah's esteemed father, the Guild had been left rudderless and vulnerable. In the absence of strong leadership, factions within the Guild had emerged, vying for power and influence, threatening to fracture the once unbreakable unity of the guild. As the sole remaining Alpha Guardian appointed by Noah, Alara Valrin bore the weight of the fallen. Her fellow Alpha Guardians, once pillars of strength and wisdom, had met their untimely demise during the harrowing Nagaland War, leaving a void that threatened the stability of the Guardian Guild. To preserve the guild's integrity, Alara had no choice but to select new Alpha Guardians from the ranks of the talented and promising. These successors, though brimming with potential, lacked the seasoned experience and honed skill of their predecessors. Alara knew that with time, they would grow into their roles and shine brightly. But the pressing challenge was the absence of a unifying leader. Within the guild's hallowed halls, ambitious and influential guardians had formed their own factions, eagerly awaiting the opportune moment to seize the coveted position of guild leader. Once noble and devoted, these individuals had succumbed to the corrupting influences of greed and power, their allegiance to the guild tarnished by their personal ambitions. Noah had diligently cleansed the guild of corruption, but it seemed that the seeds of darkness had taken root once more. Alara recognized the urgent need for strong leadership to combat the insidious forces that threatened to tear the guild apart from within. The task before her was daunting, as she grappled with the delicate balance of ensuring the guild's stability while navigating the treacherous waters of factionalism. She knew that the lack of a unifying leader could lead to chaos and the dissolution of everything the Guardian Guild stood for. With each passing day, Alara tirelessly worked to nurture and guide the new Alpha Guardians, providing them with the wisdom and mentorship they needed to grow into their roles. She instilled in them the values of honor, selflessness, and dedication, hoping to inspire them to rise above the temptation of personal gain and restore the guild's reputation. Silence! Alara's voice reverberated through the grand hall, commanding the attention of the assembled Alpha Guardians and Guardian Captains. The sheer force of her command compelled everyone to cease their conversations and turn their focus towards her. As the authoritative figurehead of the Guardian Guild, Alara stood tall and composed, her eyes scanning the room. Alongside her, 3 newly appointed Alpha Guardians took their places, each embodying the essence of their respective divisions. Alpha Roshan, the formidable Alpha Guardian of the Beast Guardians, possessed a commanding presence akin to a majestic lion. His golden mane cascaded down his broad shoulders, radiating strength and wisdom. With a deep, rumbling voice, he spoke, his tone resonating with authority. "We face a critical challenge within our division," Alpha Roshan began, his gaze sweeping across the attentive audience. "The rise of factionalism has led to a deterioration of trust and unity among the Beast Guardians. We must address this swiftly and restore the bond that once bound us together." Alpha Vivian, the fiery-haired Alpha Guardian of the Sorcerer Guardians, exuded an air of mystic power. Her vibrant red locks shimmered under the light, mirroring the intensity of her magical prowess. She stepped forward, her voice carrying an undercurrent of determination. "In the realm of the arcane, we encounter a different set of trials," Alpha Vivian continued, her emerald eyes sparkling with unwavering resolve. "The misuse and abuse of magic have tarnished our reputation. We must instill stricter regulations and education to foster responsibility and discipline among our ranks." Alpha Garrick, the seasoned warrior and Alpha Guardian of the Warrior Guardians, emanated an aura of battle-hardened valor. His scars and weathered armor spoke of countless victories and sacrifices. With a deep voice etched with experience, he addressed the gathering. "Our division grapples with a crisis of discipline," Alpha Garrick declared, his gaze penetrating through the room. "Some of our warriors have strayed from their honorable path, yielding to personal desires and forsaking their duty. We must re-establish a code of conduct and reinforce our core values to restore the integrity of the Warrior Guardians." As each Alpha Guardian presented their concerns and proposed solutions, Alara listened attentively, her expression a mask of thoughtful consideration. She understood that the problems within the guild ran deep, infecting every division. Yet, she also recognized the strength and potential of her newly appointed Alpha Guardians. With a sense of purpose and determination, Alara addressed the room once more, her voice filled with a blend of authority and compassion. "We stand at a crossroads, where the fate of the Guardian Guild hangs in the balance. But I have faith in each and every one of you, my fellow Alpha Guardians and Guardian Captains. Together, we will rise above the challenges that beset us, united in our purpose to protect and serve." The hall reverberated with a renewed sense of purpose and determination as Alara's words echoed through the minds of those present. The challenges were great, but the Guardian Guild's potential for redemption was equally immense. With their unwavering resolve and unified efforts, they would pave the way for a brighter future, restoring the guild to its former glory. As the meeting unfolded within the grand hall, a group of guardians clad in pristine white armor stood silently at the corner, their presence unnoticed by most. Led by Neela, a formidable figure with an aura of power that emanated from her soul-refining stage level 7 cultivation, they observed the proceedings with a mix of concern and determination. Neela's piercing gaze remained fixed on Alara and the other Alpha Guardians, her expression one of quiet intensity. As Alpha Roshan concluded his statement, a low growl rumbled deep in Neela's throat, her frustration evident. "We cannot allow Noah's name to be tarnished any longer," Neela declared, her voice laced with determination. "He dedicated his life to the Guardian Guild and deserves justice. It is our duty to uncover the truth and clear his name." Alvaro, a member of Neela's group and the second strongest with his soul-refining stage level 4 cultivation, stood beside her. Unbeknownst to his comrades, he had been working as a spy for the Dark Lord, betraying his fellow guardians. Alvaro's mind buzzed with thoughts of the secrets he had uncovered, the information he had fed to the Dark Lord's army. As Neela voiced her intentions, Alvaro's eyes darted around the room, a calculated glint in his gaze. He knew that the unraveling of the Guardian Guild's internal strife would only serve to further his own agenda. The Dark Lord's promises of immortality and increased power tantalized him, clouding his judgment and fueling his ambition. While outwardly appearing to support Neela's determination to clear Noah's name, Alvaro silently calculated his next move. He pondered the secrets he had yet to uncover within the guild, knowledge that could prove invaluable to the Dark Lord's cause. The thought of presenting this information to his mysterious benefactors filled him with a sense of anticipation and the promise of greater rewards. Alvaro knew he danced a treacherous dance, walking a tightrope between loyalty to the Guardian Guild and his clandestine allegiance to the Dark Lord. His mind buzzed with possibilities, weighing the potential outcomes of his dual existence. As the meeting continued, the air thick with tension and the weight of responsibility, Neela and her fellow guardians exchanged their differing viewpoints. Neela's determination to have Alicia, Noah's wife, take charge of the guardians in his absence, clashed with the objections voiced by Alvaro and others within the group. Neela's eyes flashed with conviction as she spoke, her voice carrying a resolute tone. "Alicia has suffered greatly at the hands of the Dark Lord. Her resilience and strength make her the ideal candidate to lead us in these troubled times. We must rally behind her and restore the honor of the Guardians. Neela, I understand your intentions, but we must consider the implications of Alicia's deep-seated hatred for the Dark Lord. It has clouded her judgment, making her vulnerable to rash decisions that could endanger us all." Alvaro, his gaze hidden behind a mask of calculated neutrality, spoke up with a measured tone. Others within the group nodded in agreement, their expressions etched with concern. They understood the pain Alicia had endured, but they also recognized the potential pitfalls of entrusting their fate to a leader driven by personal vendetta. Neela's brows furrowed, her determination unyielding. "I believe in Alicia's strength and resilience. She has the power to unite us and guide us towards victory. We cannot let fear and doubt hold us back." Alvaro's eyes narrowed, a flicker of subtle intent passing through his gaze. Perhaps it would be wise to consider all options before rushing into such a decision. The Dark Lord's reach is vast, and we must prioritize the safety and well-being of our fellow guardians. Neela's jaw tightened, her stance unwavering. "We will not falter in our pursuit of justice. Alicia has the spirit to confront the Dark Lord, to avenge her family and protect our guild. We must support her." As the debate raged on, the rift within the group widened. The weight of conflicting loyalties and hidden agendas bore heavily upon the Guardians, threatening to fracture their unity and weaken their resolve. Unbeknownst to them, Alvaro's duplicitous actions loomed in the shadows as he played a dangerous game of manipulation, ready to exploit any opportunity that would further his allegiance to the Dark Lord. As the tense atmosphere gripped the meeting hall, a sudden commotion erupted at the entrance. A guardian, trembling and drenched in sweat, stumbled into the room, his face contorted with fear. He stuttered and stammered, struggling to find his voice amidst the overwhelming terror that gripped him. Alara, her brows furrowing with concern, quickly moved forward, her eyes fixed on the shaken guardian. "What has happened? Why are you so frightened?" she asked, her voice laced with urgency. The guardian's words tumbled out in a jumble, his voice quivering with fear. "The demon BB Butler. He's here. He waits outside to deliver a message from the Dark Lord himself." A collective gasp swept through the room, the gravity of the situation sinking in. Ilara's heart quickened, her mind racing with the implications of this unexpected arrival. Without hesitation, she led the way as the guardians rushed out of the hall, their gazes fixated on the figure awaiting them. As they stepped into the open air, their eyes fell upon Azazel, the demon butler of the Dark Lord. He stood alone, his neat butler uniform exuding an eerie sense of calm. His jet-black hair was impeccably combed to the side, framing a youthful face that belied the power that lay within. Crimson-red eyes bore into the guardians, an intensity in their gaze that sent shivers down their spines. The guardians, their hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and curiosity, couldn't help but shudder at the sight of Azazel, the demon butler of the Dark Lord. His presence alone seemed to cast a chilling aura that sent shivers down their spines. They couldn't deny the immense power emanating from him, knowing that he stood at the immortal stage level 9. Azazel's crimson eyes calmly scanned the assembled guardians, his gaze unyielding and devoid of fear, despite being deep within enemy territory. The sneer that tugged at the corners of his lips only heightened the unease that settled over the weaker guardians, who mumbled among themselves, their voices trembling with trepidation. "He's so powerful. What chance do we have against him?" One whispered, the words laced with a mixture of awe and fear. "We mustn't let his presence deter us. We are the guardians, defenders of justice." Another whispered, trying to instill a sense of courage amidst the rising anxiety. As the guardians converged in the sky, their eyes fixed upon Azazel, their determination wavered in the face of his imposing figure. The weight of their duty pressed upon them, the magnitude of the situation becoming increasingly clear. Ilara, her eyes narrowing with determination, stepped forward to confront Azazel. Her voice cut through the tense air, filled with authority and defiance. "Why have you come here, Azazel? This is our territory, and I have every right to strike you down where you stand." Azazel's lips curled into a contemptuous smirk. His crimson eyes locked onto Ilara. "Oh dear Ilara," he sneered, his voice dripping with mockery. "If the Guardian Guild were still strong, perhaps you would have had the chance. But without Noah, you are nothing. Just a collection of weaklings clinging to the remnants of a fading legacy." The Guardians bristled at Azazel's words, their collective anger and determination simmering beneath the surface. They exchanged glances, their resolve solidifying as they prepared to defend their honor and their home. Ilara's voice rang out, strong and unwavering. "We may have lost our leader, but our spirit remains unbroken. We are guardians, bound by duty and united in purpose. We will not yield to the likes of you." Azazel's eyes gleamed with a mix of amusement and malice. "Ah, the bravado of the desperate," he retorted, his tone laced with disdain. "But I am not here to engage in meaningless battles. I bring a message from the Dark Lord himself." The tension in the air grew thicker as the guardians leaned in, their gazes fixed on Azazel, anticipation and dread intertwining within them. "What is this message?" Ilara demanded, her voice laced with a mix of defiance and curiosity. Azazel's smile widened, his crimson eyes flashing with a dark glimmer. "You have 2 days," he proclaimed, his words like venomous whispers. 2 days to abandon this guild, to scatter and hide like the rats you are. After that, the Dark Lord will personally come to this guild and burn it to the ground. And anyone who dares to stand in his way will meet their demise." The guardians exchanged stunned glances, the weight of Azazel's words pressing upon them. Fear mingled with determination as they grappled with the reality of their impending fate. Ilara's voice trembled with suppressed anger and defiance. "We will not bow before the Dark Lord. We will stand our ground and defend what is ours." Azazel's laughter echoed through the air, a chilling sound that sent a shiver down the spines of the guardians. "So be it," he sneered. "But remember, the darkness is relentless, and your feeble resistance will only lead to your destruction." As Azazel turned to depart, his dark wings unfurling behind him, the guardians were left in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. They understood the gravity of the situation, the immense power they faced, but within the depths of their hearts, a glimmer of hope still burned. They would not surrender without a fight, for they were guardians, defenders of justice, and they would face the darkness head-on, no matter the cost. When the shock settled among the guardians, whispers of disbelief rippled through their ranks. But the Dark Lord disappeared. "Where did he go?" One guardian murmured, his voice filled with confusion. "We thought he had vanished for good," another whispered, his eyes wide with realization. But now he's back, and more dangerous than ever. The news of the Dark Lord's return sent shockwaves through the Guardian Guild, filling them with a mixture of fear and uncertainty. They had hoped for respite in his absence, but now, they were faced with the undeniable truth that the Dark Lord's power still loomed over them. Chapter 962. No backup for the Guardian Guild. Following the Dark Lord's chilling warning of the impending destruction of their Guardian Guild, Elara retreated to the sanctuary of her meticulously arranged room. The space exuded an air of tranquility, with neatly stacked books lining the shelves and a captivating board game that challenged and sharpened her strategic thinking. Taking a purposeful stride, Elara approached her table and deftly retrieved a silver bead from one of the carefully organized drawers. Inhaling deeply, she summoned her resolve and crushed the bead, unleashing a radiant burst of light that swiftly consumed her form, whisking her away from the room in an instant. In an instant, Elara materialized within a grand and brilliantly illuminated hall. The space exuded a sense of majestic splendor, adorned with a colossal chandelier that bathed the room in a warm ethereal glow. At its center stood a large stone table, flanked by sturdy stone chairs that beckoned to be occupied. Casting an imposing presence, a towering statue of a lady, entwined with a sinuous snake, commanded attention from one corner of the room. As Elara, an elegant elf with golden hair and piercing blue eyes, entered the hall, she found herself confronted by several figures seated around the round table. Among them were Alicia, Celici, Evan Clark, and an enigmatic beastman who concealed his features beneath a cloak of dark robes. "He is back," Elara's voice resounded with a mix of urgency and determination, as she shared the news of the Dark Lord's return with her comrades. The revelation triggered a tumultuous wave of emotions within each individual, blending fear, anger, and an unwavering thirst for retribution against the Dark Lord. Yet, amidst the charged atmosphere, the enigmatic beastman and Celici exuded an eerie calmness, almost as if they had anticipated the Dark Lord's resurgence. A serene smile graced Xianxia's face, as if she held secrets and plans beyond the reach of others. Xianxia's calm demeanor persisted as she responded to Elara's plea. "Then it's time to expedite our plans," she stated in a composed tone, her words carrying an air of determination. But Elara refused to yield, her fist tightening as she confronted Celici. "No. We must devise a plan to save the Guardian Guild. Azazel, the Dark Lord's minion, has delivered a message, giving us a mere 2 days to abandon the guild before the Dark Lord himself arrives to obliterate it along with everyone inside," she implored, her voice filled with urgency and a desperate need for support. Xianxia's nonchalant response, laced with indifference, provoked a frown from Elara. "Why bother, honey?" Celici retorted, her words dripping with an unsettling lack of concern. Xianxia's voice remained steady as she expressed her viewpoint, her words carrying an air of finality. "The Guardian Guild, my dear, is akin to a dying animal. Attempts to salvage it would only prolong its suffering, prolong the inevitable. We must face the harsh truth that there is no conceivable plan in existence that can protect the Guild from the Dark Lord's wrath. With his formidable power at the half-celestial stage, we lack any semblance of strength or support to pose even a remote challenge against him," Celici explained, her serene countenance, seemingly undisturbed by the gravity of the situation, accentuated the weight of her words. Alicia's frustration and anguish ignited, her voice echoing with a mix of anger and desperation as she forcefully slammed her hand on the table. "So what do you expect us to do? Stand idly by and watch that bastard destroy everything my husband worked tirelessly to build?" Her concern for Noah, lost after the Dark Lord's brutal attack on his mentor, Andreas, intensified her emotions. With Noah still unconscious and his whereabouts unknown, Alicia's anxiety grew, fueling her desire to protect his family. The Sky Hall's ruthless execution team had apprehended Ethan Winston and the elders, dismantling the entire Winston family. Fortunately, Noah's aunties found refuge in Breedia, seeking asylum under the protection of King Breedia, given their familial ties. Xianxia's calm demeanor remained unwavering, her gaze steady as she countered Alicia's outburst. "Why waste our efforts mending a dying creature when we have the opportunity to create a formidable force capable of toppling the Dark Lord? Remember, the Guardian Guild is more than just a physical structure. It resides within its members. Have you ever stopped to consider why the Dark Lord granted a 2-day ultimatum? He wants the Guardians to abandon the guild, sacrificing their loyalty to save their own lives. Tell me, Elara, how many Guardians have already handed in their resignations and fled?" Xianxia's piercing gaze fixed upon Elara, demanding her attention. Too many, Elara sighed wearily, her steps carrying the weight of exhaustion as she approached the table and took her seat. Weariness permeated her being, overshadowed by the daunting task at hand. Celici leaned forward, her eyes gleaming with determination as she presented her plan. The best course of action is to identify the most talented individuals within the guild who still hold unwavering loyalty to Noah. We must recruit them into our ranks, forming a united front against the Dark Lord. While Michael and Gaia were occupied in the depths of hell, Celici took it upon herself to tirelessly seek out those with the values of honor and courage, individuals who would join the impending battle against the Dark Lord. In essence, she was constructing a clandestine army in the shadows, hidden from the prying eyes of their enemy. Among the first recruits were Evan Clark, accompanied by his fiancée Victoria, Elara Valrin, and Alicia Winston. Xianxia's efforts also extended to the talented dwarves of the Han Torum clan, whom she enlisted under the leadership of Hammond. Their expertise in crafting formidable weapons would prove invaluable in the forthcoming struggle against the Dark Lord. With assistance from the Sky Hall, Celici successfully rescued Hammond from the clutches of the Dark Lord's vampires, recognizing the immense value of preserving such a brilliant mind. Little did Celici know, however, that the Dark Lord himself had already set in motion his own sinister plans for weapon development. The room fell silent as the weight of their mission settled upon them. Each individual carried their own hopes, fears, and determination to confront the looming threat. The clock was ticking, and the stage was set for an epic clash between light and darkness, with the future of their world hanging in the balance. Evan's words carried a sense of urgency as he addressed Celici, his tone laced with concern. Lady Celici, we must understand that the Dark Lord's ambitions extend far beyond the Guardian Guild. He is not going to halt his actions here. Elara, nodding in agreement, added her insights to the conversation. As an Alpha Guardian, she had dedicated herself to studying the Dark Lord extensively. Her voice held a mixture of determination and apprehension. He is on the offensive now. The Dark Lord's intentions are clear. He seeks to obliterate his enemies while they are at their most vulnerable. Silent and watchful, the wolf-like figure listened intently without uttering a single word. Emotions ran high in the room as the gravity of the situation became increasingly apparent. The Dark Lord's relentless pursuit of power and destruction cast a shadow of fear and uncertainty over their future. They knew that in order to stand a chance against him, they would need to unite their strengths and devise a plan that countered his every move. Time was of the essence, and the battle against the Dark Lord had become a race against his impending onslaught. Celici glanced around the room, her gaze lingering on each face before she spoke. Hammond has been diligently working to create something that could potentially turn the tide against the Dark Lord, she said cryptically, her voice low and enigmatic. Evan, Elara, and the wolf-like figure leaned in, their curiosity piqued by Xianxia's mysterious statement. They knew that Celici possessed hidden depths of knowledge and strategies that often remained veiled from the rest. Hammond, under my guidance, has been collaborating with a group of skilled dwarves, Celici continued, her voice carrying a tinge of secrecy. Together they are forging a weapon, a device that has the potential to harness the very essence of the fallen, turning them into an undying army. Her words hung in the air, eliciting a mix of intrigue and uncertainty among her companions. Celici had chosen not to reveal the full extent of her plans, keeping them shrouded in mystery. She understood that unveiling her every move could jeopardize the delicate balance they sought to achieve. Trust in our ally's ingenuity, Celici added, her eyes gleaming with a glimmer of determination. Hammond's invention may hold the key to countering the Dark Lord's forces and granting us an unexpected advantage. Evan and Elara exchanged a knowing glance, sensing that Celici held back more than she had revealed. They understood that Celici was a master strategist, carefully orchestrating their actions to outmaneuver their formidable adversary. It was a testament to her foresight and cunning that she kept certain cards hidden, reserving them for the most opportune moments. The wolf-like figure remained silent, their eyes reflecting a blend of curiosity and caution. They had chosen to trust in Xianxia's leadership, knowing that her every decision held a purpose that would unfold in due time. When the weight of their impending battle settled upon them, the room fell into a contemplative silence. Each individual contemplated their role in the grand scheme of things, aware that the fate of their world rested on their shoulders. Xianxia's mysterious plans and Hammond's secret project cast an air of hope amidst the encroaching darkness, reminding them that the path to victory often lay hidden within the shadows. As Xianxia's words about turning fallen comrades into an undying army echoed in the room, A wave of discomfort washed over Alicia. Her face contorted with a mix of confusion and disgust, her brows furrowing deeply. The idea of creating an army of the undead, akin to the Dark Lord's forces, repulsed her. Alicia couldn't help but voice her concerns, her voice laced with skepticism. Are you planning to create an undead army, Celici? Are we not just becoming as twisted and vile as the Dark Lord himself if we resort to such methods? Celici, her gaze steady and unyielding, met Alicia's eyes. A knowing smile played upon her lips as she responded. No. Alicia. This is not an undead army in the conventional sense. It is something much more. Her words hung in the air, leaving Alicia yearning for more answers. The unease within her gnawed at her, questioning the morality and integrity of their cause. She understood the necessity of fighting back against the Dark Lord, but she didn't want their actions to mirror his malevolence. I cannot reveal all my plans just yet, Celici continued, her voice filled with conviction. But trust me when I say that what we are creating is not an army of mindless undead. It is something different, something that can tip the scales in our favor without sacrificing our humanity. Alicia bit her lip, still grappling with her doubts. She looked around the room, searching for reassurance in the eyes of her companions. Evan and Alara, though intrigued by Xianxia's enigmatic words, appeared to trust her judgment. The wolf-like figure remained silent, their unreadable expressions suggesting a willingness to follow Xianxia's lead. Xianxia's calm demeanor and air of confidence began to alleviate Alicia's initial concerns, replacing them with a flicker of hope. Perhaps there was more to Xianxia's plan than she initially thought. As the conversation progressed, Evan interjected, his voice laced with urgency. Celici, we shouldn't forget about Noah's spies within the Dark Lord's army. They hold valuable information and could be crucial assets in our fight. We should consider pulling them out, ensuring their safety and utilizing their knowledge against the Dark Lord. Xianxia's gaze shifted to Evan, considering his words carefully. She understood the importance of the spies and the insights they could provide. However, her thoughts were focused on a different strategy, one that required subtlety and gathering intelligence from within the enemy's ranks. I appreciate your concern, Evan, Celici replied, her tone measured. But at this stage, it is best to keep the spies embedded within the Dark Lord's army. They are our eyes and ears, gathering vital information about the Dark Lord's plans and movements. Alicia's brow furrowed as she tried to comprehend Xianxia's reasoning. But won't they be in grave danger? The Dark Lord could discover their true identities and execute them. Xianxia's gaze hardened, her resolve unwavering. I understand the risks involved, Alicia, but we must tread carefully. Pulling them out now could raise suspicions and jeopardize their lives. By keeping them within the Dark Lord's army, they can continue to gather valuable intelligence, ensuring we stay one step ahead. Evan nodded reluctantly, acknowledging the rationale behind Xianxia's decision. He knew they needed as much information as possible to counter the Dark Lord's plans effectively. However, he couldn't help but worry for the safety of the spies and the potential consequences they might face. Remember, our spies are skilled and resilient, Celici continued, her voice filled with determination. We will provide them with the support they need and monitor their situation closely. If the risks become too great, we will reassess and act accordingly. But for now, their presence within the Dark Lord's army is our best chance to gather crucial intel and gain an advantage. Alicia sighed, reluctantly accepting Xianxia's perspective. She knew that Celici had a knack for playing the long game, strategizing with meticulous care. While uneasy about the spies' precarious situation, she understood the importance of information in this battle against the Dark Lord. With their discussion concluded, the group settled into a determined silence, each member contemplating their role in this dangerous undertaking. The path ahead was treacherous, and sacrifices would be inevitable. Xianxia's enigmatic plans, the spies lurking in the shadows, and the weight of their mission loomed over them, shaping their resolve to challenge the Dark Lord and reclaim their world from his clutches. Chapter 963, Game of Schemes. As the bustling preparations for Michael and Gaia's wedding filled the air, Michael sought solace within his forge located deep within the heart of the demon's grave. Here, amidst the flickering glow of molten metal, he dedicated his craftsmanship to fashioning something truly special for his beloved. The distant rumble of the relocated mountain, containing his cherished herbal garden, still echoed in his ears as he focused on his work. Vidora, the three-headed hydra, coiled upon a nearby table, its heads observing Michael's every move with unwavering attention. Iag, the white-headed head of the Hydra, emanated an aura of raw energy, occasionally punctuating the air with colorful expletives. Sarba, the silver-headed middle head, possessed a gentle and meek disposition, rarely displaying anger. And Cain, the black-headed head, exuded an air of silent cunning and unmatched intellect. As Michael stoked the fires of the forge, the searing heat bringing beads of sweat to his brow, Vedora's multiple heads swayed in unison, their eyes fixated on the intricate dance of flames. Iag's voice dripped with a mixture of skepticism and frustration as she addressed Michael, her tone laced with disbelief. So, it's finally fucking happening, huh? The Guardian Guild's gonna be wiped out. But why the hell did you give em 2 days? Wouldn't it be more efficient to catch em off guard and attack without warning? Michael, his focus undeterred, carefully lifted a cauldron brimming with shimmering golden liquid, its warmth radiating through the air. With a calm demeanor, he replied to Iag's questioning. His voice steady yet tinged with an underlying intention. I want to give those who want to leave the guild a chance. Iag's brows furrowed in suspicion, her eyes narrowing with a newfound sense of curiosity. Why the hell do I get the feeling that you've got something else up your sleeve? She pressed, her voice laced with skepticism. Cain, ever observant and quick to interject, spoke up in place of Michael, his tone carrying a hint of intrigue. There's another force at play here, Iag. Michael paused his work momentarily, a knowing smile gracing his lips as he acknowledged Iag's bewildered expression. You caught on, huh? He remarked, a glimmer of amusement in his eyes. Iag, still grappling to comprehend the depth of the situation, blurted out her question, her voice laden with confusion. What other force are you talking about? She inquired, her tone revealing her utter cluelessness. Michael's voice cut through the air, his words steeped in gravitas as he unraveled a truth that left Iag stunned. Nightmare's death didn't happen by chance. It was orchestrated, someone pulling the strings behind the scenes. They wanted to pin the blame on Noah and Norvin. Iag growled in disbelief, his voice laced with surprise and a touch of anger. What the fuck do you mean they put the blame on Norvin? Our fucking spies in Winston Manor said Norvin claimed he stabbed Nightmare in a fit of rage. Michael, his hammer striking the cooled golden liquid with precision, maintained his focus as he clarified the truth. Noah and Norvin both have this idiotic rule against killing. They believe in it wholeheartedly, even if it puts them at a disadvantage. Noah wouldn't have taken Nightmare's life, especially not after we saved his father. Head tried to incapacitate Nightmare, use his power to lock his cultivation, and end the fight without killing him. So you're saying someone else killed Nightmare and put the blame on Norvin? But hey, race the fucking thing that doesn't make sense. Why the hell would Norvin take the blame, knowing that claiming he killed Nightmare would piss us off enough to wipe out their whole fucking kingdom? Michael's work paused momentarily, his eyes meeting Iag's as he conveyed his understanding. Norvin bet on the fact that I can't kill Noah without the god-killing arrows. He thought if he placed Noah in Nagaland, we wouldn't attack cause it's Gaia's homeland. But he didn't anticipate that Gaia would prioritize avenging Nightmare over her kingdom. The same force behind Nightmare's death manipulated Norvin into leaving Noah's side. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it. The rhythm of Michael's hammer resumed, the metallic clang reverberating through the forge as he continued his work. The process of forging a special gift for Gaia unfolded alongside their conversation, each strike of the hammer adding to the creation of a symbol of their love. As sparks flew and metal took shape, the weight of the revelations settled upon them all. Emotions churned within them, a mix of anger, confusion, and determination. The path to justice was laid bare before them, and they vowed to unravel the truth behind Nightmare's death and protect those who had been wrongly accused. Think about it. How could Saber lose the trail of a mere human? Someone must have helped Hammond disappear, Michael stated calmly, his voice tinged with a hint of intrigue. Iag's anger flared as she responded, her voice laced with frustration. So when the fuck did you come to this conclusion? Before or after Gaia launched a fucking full-scale attack on her homeland, killing Castienne and cripping her sister? Michael's expression remained composed as he answered, a subtle smirk playing on his lips. Long before that, Iag. Whoever the hell they are, they know damn well they can't face me directly. That's why they choose to work from the shadows. But they seem to have forgotten that I control the god of darkness, the very essence of shadows. Let them think they have the upper hand. Let them think they stand a chance. After all, it'd be boring without some opposition in this game of schemes, Michael declared, a wry smile curling on his lips. Snatching the metal piece from the forge, Michael plunged it into cold water, steam hissing and dissipating into the air. The calmness in his voice belied the gravity of his words. Every time I'm in a battle, they send more and more people to die by my hands, even though they know they can't match my power. If I'm right, they're planning some fucked up shit with the souls of the people we kill. The mention of souls made Vidora's minds race, their thoughts instantly conjuring images of an army of glowing souls under the night sky, poised to take down the dark army they had worked tirelessly to build. Yet, upon witnessing the calm smile on Michael's face, a sense of reassurance washed over them. Okay, hold the fuck up. What the hell makes you think they're building an army of souls? Is that what you're implying? Ayag furrowed her brow. Her frustration was evident. They were harvesting demon bodies in the demon's grave and fucking undead from the nether realm. And the only explanation for why no powerful cultivator interjected every time I fought an army is cause they let me kill all those people, Michael explained, his tone matter-of-fact. Ayag interjected, her skepticism apparent. We can't fucking rule out the fact that Zanali is as dumb as a sack of shit. Michael chuckled, a brief respite from the seriousness of the conversation. True, but it wasn't Zanali who ruled Nagaland. It was Salisi, her mother. And Salisi was nowhere to be found when we attacked Nagaland. According to Gaia and the intel we got from our minions, Salisi is not stupid. Sarba's curiosity was piqued as he posed a question. If she's such a genius, then why the hell did Nagaland decline under her rule? Michael's response was laden with contemplation. What if that was her intention all along? He pondered aloud, his question hanging in the air. Frustration and confusion etched on Sarba's face as he absorbed Michael's words. I don't have any proof to support my theory, but I've reached a point where I don't need concrete evidence. Once Arius assassins find Salisi, he'll get the goddamn answers straight from her, Michael declared coldly, his eyes gleaming with determination as he retrieved the metal piece from the oil. So let's say they are indeed building an army of souls, and I don't even know how the hell that shit works. What the fuck are you gonna do about it, huh? Are you gonna stop killing anything that stands in your way and turn to goddamn democracy? Ayag sneered, her sarcasm dripping from every word. Michael, focused on his forging, responded calmly, his words punctuated by the rhythmic clanging of the hammer. They're not building an army for themselves, Ayag. They're building an army for me. They just don't know about it, he continued his work, the metal piece slowly taking shape beneath his skilled hands. Michael harbored two intertwined plans in his relentless pursuit of the truth. The first plan revolved around unearthing the complete extent of his suspicion, the existence of an army of souls being constructed by his adversaries. Once he confirmed the presence of such an ethereal force, his second plan would seamlessly come into play, ingeniously utilizing the powers bestowed upon him by the system to claim the army of souls as his own. However, caution was paramount. Michael understood the delicate balance between maintaining secrecy and his enemy's perception of his suspicions. If they were to suspect his awareness of their sinister machinations, they would swiftly pivot to an alternate strategy. Thus, feigning ignorance became an integral aspect of his design. By appearing oblivious to their hidden agenda, his enemies would continue to dispatch armies, unknowingly presenting him with the opportunity to accrue experience points and, in turn, the coveted badass points through their defeat. It was through this process of skillful manipulation that Michael would steadily accumulate his store of badass points. In the intricate dance between light and darkness, Michael's strategic mind worked tirelessly, envisioning a future where the army of souls stood as a testament to his indomitable will. With careful precision, he calculated each step, knowing that the revelation of the truth would pave the path for him to harness the power within the souls and forge his own indomitable army. Though the system had temporarily gone offline, and he couldn't earn experience points for his kills, Michael knew he still amassed a fucking ton of badass points. After the war in Nagaland, he had a staggering 20 million badass points just waiting to be utilized. He was confident that once the system came back online, he could turn whatever this unknown enemy was doing in the shadows against them, using the powers granted by the system. As the conversation shifted to the topic of spies, Ayag raised a proposition that made Michael pause. Now that Noah is gone and we're on the verge of destroying the Guardian Guild, we should hang Noah's fucking spies among our ranks and make an example out of them, Ayag suggested, her tone laced with vindictiveness. Michael shook his head, his expression contemplative. No. They are far more valuable to me, alive than dead. I've instructed Trista to place these spies in a special unit and feed them false information. This unknown enemy of mine will eventually seek out these spies and attempt to use them. And when that happens, these spies will unknowingly lead me straight to them, Michael explained, his eyes gleaming with a cunning resolve. Michael was acutely aware of the inevitable infiltration of his army by hostile spies. With force comprising nearly 2,000 soldiers, it was an insurmountable task to monitor each individual closely. The unsettling truth was that any of them could be swayed to betray him with the right incentives, and he had seen firsthand how easily loyalty could be compromised. To safeguard against potential dangers posed by these spies, Michael understood the importance of keeping crucial plans close to his chest. It was unnecessary for the lower-ranking soldiers to be privy to the intricacies of his strategies. By withholding such vital information, he effectively limited the amount of actionable intelligence available to his enemies. This approach aimed to minimize the risk of leaks within his own ranks, preventing vital details from falling into the wrong hands. With a deliberate and calculated approach, Michael aimed to provide his adversaries with a paltry amount of useful information, leaving them grasping at shadows and uncertain of his true intentions. However, Michael recognized that the presence of hostile spies within his army wasn't entirely a disadvantage. In fact, he saw it as an opportunity to turn the tables on his enemies. Once he successfully identified these spies, he could carefully trace their activities to uncover their superiors and the broader network they were reporting to. This chain of information would lead him to the heart of the enemy's operations and reveal the larger threat they posed. As Michael delved deeper into this game of deception and intrigue, a sense of exhilaration coursed through his veins. The thrill of outmaneuvering his adversaries, using their own spies against them, was a source of satisfaction. With each step, he gained a strategic advantage, unraveling their plots and turning their schemes to his advantage. It was a thrilling pursuit that fueled his determination to protect his army and ensure their ultimate victory. With the plan firmly established, every element began to align as they readied themselves to outsmart their foes. In the intricate interplay between brightness and obscurity, Michael maintained a constant advantage, his sharp intellect tirelessly at work to expose the facts and conquer his enigmatic adversary, reducing them to defeat. When Michael set aside the hammer, his mind brimmed with a myriad of plans, ranging from Plan A to Plan Z. His confidence soared beyond a mere 100%, surpassing even 200%, as he envisioned emerging victorious against whoever dared plot in the shadows. Being the Dark Lord, he understood that adversaries would shy away from direct confrontation, fully aware that facing him head-on would only result in their demise. Hence, schemes became their sole recourse, their slim chance of challenging his reign. In the grand game of schemes, my enemies may revel in their initial victories, thinking they have me cornered. But little do they know, I thrive amidst the chaos they create. Schemes may be their feeble attempt to bring me down, but I am the master of shadows, the orchestrator of their downfall. For every scheme they devise, I have 10 strategies waiting in the darkness. And in the end, when the dust settles, it is I who emerges, triumphant and untouchable. The schemes may dance and deceive, but I, the Dark Lord, always have the final move. Chapter 964. Effects of the Dark Lord's Armor Pieces. Forgive this idiot author for not editing the properly when I first published it. I rewrote the chapter completely and add few more exciting things to the chapter. Please read the 963, before continuing to read the below chapter. Venturing into the dark newly built and dimly lit underground cellar beneath Kaya's home, Celici descended further into its eerie depths. The air within was heavy and tainted, carrying the unmistakable stench of blood, a testament to the horrors that had unfolded within these confines. As Celici cautiously advanced, the flickering light of torches revealed a macabre sight. The ground was stained with dried blood while fresh puddles glistened ominously. Chains hung from the walls, bearing the scars of countless struggles, evidenced by scratch marks and lingering traces of crimson. A bone-chilling symphony of gnawing and croaking sounds filled the air, a chilling reminder of the torment inflicted upon unfortunate victims held captive within this dismal underworld. Xianxia's steps faltered as a movement caught her attention, drawing her gaze to the dancing shadows. Amidst the obscurity, bolts of crimson-red lightning flickered, casting an eerie glow upon a tall figure. The atmosphere grew tense as Xianxia's eyes locked onto the enigmatic presence concealed within the darkness. "We need to talk, Quintus." Xianxia's voice resonated through the chilling air of the underground cellar. Though fully aware of the horrors that had unfolded within these very walls, she maintained an unnerving calmness in her demeanor. As Celici approached, the figure known as General Quintus remained motionless, seemingly unperturbed by her presence. Seizing a torch from the pillar nearby, Salisi thrust its illuminating flame into the darkness, revealing a grotesque scene. General Quintus, shrouded in tattered misty robes, was hunched over a young man, his twisted form engrossed in a macabre feast. General Quintus' appearance was nightmarish to behold. Veiled beneath his ragged attire, he donned a menacing metal chestplate adorned with an intricately engraved skull. The chestplate seemed to pulsate with minuscule, crimson-red bolts that danced in an otherworldly fashion. His disfigured countenance was a horrifying sight, with decaying flesh peeling away from his face, exposing raw, oozing wounds. Trails of blood streamed down his neck and eyes, while only a few stray strands of hair clung desperately to his scalp. His emaciated frame exuded an aura of terror, evoking a chilling sense of dread. Despite the terrifying visage before her, Salisi maintained her composure, steeling herself for the conversation that lay ahead. She knew that engaging with General Quintus, despite the horrors he embodied, was crucial in unraveling the mysteries that plagued their world. "Disturb not my feast, woman," Quintus snarled, his fangs deeply embedded in the young man's neck, extracting the lifeblood with a gruesome hunger. Suppressing her revulsion, Salisi maintained her composure, a necessary sacrifice in her quest for allies and powerful figures to bolster her Shadow Clan's fight against the Dark Lord. The sight of Quintus, an abomination of nature, was a reminder of the dark forces she had to navigate. "Quintus, I warned you about wearing those cursed armor pieces," Salisi spoke, her voice laced with a hint of concern. Leaning against a pillar, she observed the frailty that plagued Quintus. She knew all too well that his vampiric regeneration alone would not sustain him indefinitely. Desire gleamed in Quintus' eyes as he released his hold on the lifeless husk of the young man. The once vibrant plump body had withered into a desiccated shell, drained of all vitality. Quintus' elongated tongue slithered across his blood-stained fingers, relishing the remnants of his gruesome meal. His crimson eyes fixated upon Salisi, hunger still burning within. The tense atmosphere between Salisi and Quintus hung heavy, an unspoken understanding lingering beneath their interaction. Xianxia's need for Quintus' allegiance and his insatiable thirst for more power converged in this macabre encounter, a delicate dance between manipulation and necessity. "The armor pieces you adorn, Quintus, were never meant for you to wear, at least not yet." Xianxia's voice resonated with caution and concern. She stepped closer, her gaze locked onto Quintus' deteriorating form, his body ravaged by the corruption of the dark armor. Quintus, in his insatiable thirst for power, had succumbed to the allure of the forbidden armor. Its malevolent influence had gradually seeped into every fiber of his being, twisting and distorting him into an unholy abomination. The once noble figure was now a grotesque manifestation of decay and despair. Only his vampiric regenerative abilities and a constant supply of blood from the unfortunate souls of Kingdom Giselle sustained Quintus' fragile existence. The armor, however, acted as a poison, slowly consuming his body and soul with each passing moment. Xianxia's words held the weight of knowledge and a tinge of desperation. She understood the dire consequences of Quintus continuing to wear the armor. It was a path that would lead to his eventual demise, a complete corruption of his very essence. "We must conduct further research, Quintus, and find a way to cleanse and reforge the armor so that it may serve its true purpose," Salisi implored, her voice tinged with urgency. "Wearing it as it is will only lead to your ultimate demise, a fate we cannot afford." As Salisi spoke, she couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy for Quintus. He had succumbed to the allure of power, his body transformed into a nightmarish visage of his former self. "This armor is mine, mine alone," Quintus snarled defiantly, dismissing Xianxia's warnings. His lips peeled back to reveal his menacing pair of elongated fangs, stained with the blood of his victims. The intensity of his gaze bore into Salisi, unyielding and filled with a feral determination. Despite all the warnings and pleas from Salisi, Quintus stubbornly clung to the corrupted armor, his features contorted with defiance. His hissing voice and blood-stained teeth only emphasized the depth of his descent into darkness. Undeterred by Quintus' aggression, Salisi stood her ground, her unwavering resolve shining through. Not a trace of fear flickered in her eyes, even in the face of such a gruesome abomination. "These armor pieces belongs to the Dark Lords, Quintus. He is relentless in his pursuit of what is rightfully his. If he discovers you wearing them, he will tear you apart without mercy. No armor will shield you from his wrath." Xianxia's words carried a sense of urgency and a hint of concern for Quintus' safety. The truth of her words stoked a furious anger within Quintus, his bloodlust reaching its boiling point. With inhuman speed, he lunged at Celici, driven by a primal rage. Yet, Celici remained composed, her gaze unwavering. In response, Celici calmly raised the torch in one hand, its flickering flames casting an eerie glow in the dimly lit cellar. With her other hand, she summoned a swirling mist that danced through the torch's fire, transforming it into a powerful torrent of blue flames. As the searing flames engulfed Quintus, his anguished roar filled the air. The intensity of the fire forced him to retreat into the shadows, seeking solace in the darkness that veiled his monstrous form. There, his vampiric regeneration would work tirelessly to heal the wounds inflicted by Xianxia's flame. Quintus' face contorted with rage, his eyes burning with a bloodlust that seemed insatiable. "You wretched bitch! I will tear you limb from limb and feast on your flesh," he spat, his voice dripping with venomous hatred. His words carried a gruesome promise, filled with visions of carnage and savagery. Unfazed by the vile threats, Celici maintained her composure, meeting Quintus' gaze without flinching. She understood the depths of his desperation and the darkness that consumed him. With a steady voice, she attempted to reason with him. "Quintus, I am not your enemy. In fact, I am the only one who can offer you salvation from the fate that awaits you. I can help you wield the power of that armor without succumbing to its corrupting influence. You don't have to be consumed by darkness." Xianxia's seemingly compassionate offer to save Quintus carried with it a hidden agenda. Beneath her calm exterior, a calculated mind was at work, analyzing every move and strategy. Her intentions were far from altruistic. She saw Quintus as nothing more than a pawn in her relentless game against the Dark Lord. While her words hinted at redemption and salvation, Xianxia's true motivations were rooted in cunning manipulation. She saw an opportunity to exploit Quintus' desire for power, harnessing it for her own ends. Her heart remained untouched by genuine compassion, replaced instead by a cold, strategic mind that sought to leverage any situation to her advantage. Behind her calm demeanor, Xianxia's thoughts churned with plans and schemes, each piece meticulously arranged on the chessboard of her ambitions. She was ruthless in her pursuit of victory, willing to use anyone and anything as a means to an end. Quintus, with his immense power and thirst for blood, became just another tool in her arsenal. In her eyes, alliances were temporary, loyalty was expendable, and emotions were mere hindrances. Celici was a master manipulator, weaving a web of deception and intrigue, ensuring that she remained several steps ahead of her adversaries. Her actions were guided solely by self-interest, and she had no qualms about sacrificing others in her relentless pursuit of power. Despite the maddening corruption that clouded Quintus' mind, a flicker of rationality remained within him. Deep down, he understood the perilous truth in Xianxia's words. If he persisted in wearing the accursed armor pieces, his very existence would be devoured by their malevolent power. It was a realization that pierced through the haze of his insanity. Quintus, in his fragmented state, grasped a fundamental truth that eluded most. The armor pieces were not meant for mortal beings, and if he could not bear their weight, then no one else could either. They were crafted specifically for the Dark Lord, their twisted design a reflection of his maleficence. In stark contrast, Celici, with her cunning and knowledge, recognized the armor's true nature. She understood the irrefutable connection it held with its creator, the Dark Lord himself. It was an understanding born from her meticulous research and her unyielding pursuit of knowledge. Quintus' sudden desire for the armor pieces derailed Xianxia's original plan. She had intended to bring the coveted artifacts to her lair, where she could conduct extensive research and unravel their secrets. It was through this meticulous study that she hoped to unlock the possibility of someone other than the Dark Lord donning the armor pieces. The allure of uncovering such knowledge fueled Xianxia's ambition. She understood the immense value of keeping the armor pieces out of the Dark Lord's clutches. By preventing him from obtaining them, she could hinder his progress and impede the completion of his formidable armor. Yet, Quintus' insatiable lust for the accursed pieces threw a wrench into her carefully laid plans. His uncontrollable desire now threatened to snatch the armor pieces from her grasp, denying her the opportunity to delve deeper into their mysteries. "Now, Quintus, time is running out. Remove the armor pieces and hand them over to me." Xianxia's voice quivered with urgency. The weight of their impending danger hung heavy in the air. She needed Quintus to understand the gravity of the situation. "The Dark Lord himself is en route to our location. His arrival is imminent," Celici revealed, her words laced with a sense of impending doom. The urgency in her voice conveyed the need for immediate action. They could no longer afford to linger in Giselle's confines. Celice reveled in the immense advantage she held over the Dark Lord. Her meticulous scheming unfolded behind the shadows, unbeknownst to him. Secrecy was her greatest weapon, and it allowed her plans to take shape undisturbed. The Dark Lord, consumed by his own arrogance, remained oblivious to the web of deceit she spun around him or she thought. Xianxia's every move was calculated with precision. She had purposely allowed Quintus to wear the armor pieces, using him as a testing subject to assess the true effects they would have on an individual. It was a calculated risk, exploiting Quintus' unwavering desire for power and lust for the dark artifacts. Little did he know that his role extended beyond mere pawn. He unknowingly served as a crucial piece in her grand scheme. She observed Quintus closely, noting the insidious changes the armor pieces inflicted upon his mind, body and soul. His unwitting participation provided her with valuable insights and the knowledge she needed to manipulate the situation to her advantage. Quintus' ignorance shielded her true intentions, ensuring the Dark Lord remained oblivious to her plot to bring about his downfall. If the Dark Lord were to discover Xianxia's intricate machinations, her carefully constructed plans would crumble before her. The delicate balance she had cultivated, the element of surprise she wielded, would be shattered. The stakes were high, and Celice guarded her secrets with unwavering determination, knowing that the very existence of her mission depended on her ability to remain hidden in the shadows. Just as Quintus was about to remove the armor pieces, Andreas materialized beside Celice. His expression filled with urgency and a hint of despair. Celice, ever perceptive, read the unspoken words in his eyes. "We need to leave now. The Dark Lord is here and he killed them," said Andreas. The weight of his cryptic statement, "he killed them," resonated within her. She quickly pieced together the puzzle, understanding the grim fate that had befallen those dear to Quintus. Aware that Andreas was on the brink of unraveling her carefully crafted plan with his reckless candor, Celice desperately attempted to convey her silent warning. Her eyes pleaded with him to keep silent, to withhold the devastating truth that threatened to unleash Quintus' fury prematurely. But Andreas, driven by his own motivations and disregard for the delicate balance she had meticulously orchestrated, flicked his wrist, summoning a silver chain adorned with a penguin pendant, a token of sentimental value. Quintus' eyes widened upon seeing the pendant, a visceral recognition flashing across his face. It was a precious gift, purchased by Quintus himself, presented to his beloved wife, Matilia Salinator, on their wedding day. The bloodstains that marred the chain told a gruesome tale, one of unspeakable loss and unsatiated vengeance. In that harrowing moment, Quintus' intentions to surrender the armor pieces and maintain rationality shattered like fragile glass. Overwhelmed by a torrent of anger and grief, he unleashed a primal roar. His sole desire to tear through the walls, break free, and confront the Dark Lord. Fool! Xianxia's frustration surged as she witnessed Quintus' reckless escape, leaving the cellar without surrendering the coveted armor pieces that she had been on the precipice of persuading him to relinquish. She clenched her fists tightly, her anger and disappointment seething, and turned her gaze to Andreas. Chapter 965. Battle for the title and armor pieces. As Celice plotted against Michael, manipulating Quintus as yet another pawn in her game, Michael found solace above the clouds, floating amidst the celestial beauty of the starry sky and the presence of 3 majestic sapphire moons. Amidst the chaos of schemes, vengeance, and the weight of his Dark Lord responsibilities, Michael occasionally forgot to appreciate the breathtaking wonders of this world. However, once he had vanquished his adversaries and settled his score, a burning desire ignited within him to embark on a journey to those enigmatic moons, to uncover the mysteries that lay hidden within their ethereal embrace. While he luxuriated in the celestial beauty, a chilling reminder of his ruthless nature stained Michael's hand, the blood of Quintus' wife and her entire family. These were not innocent lives, for Saber had unearthed a macabre secret in their backyard, a burial ground concealing the remains of countless enslaved individuals who toiled under Quintus' roof. However, their deaths were not solely a consequence of their actions. Michael's unwavering devotion to safeguarding Gaia, his beloved, propelled him to eliminate any potential threat. Mercy, even towards his adversaries, held the potential to endanger the safety of his cherished one. Thus, he resolved to protect Gaia at any cost, an oath he would not allow any flicker of leniency to compromise. "My lord," Azazel flew gracefully through the clouds, his eyes wide with shock and awe. He bowed before Michael, his admiration evident. The Dark Lord's uncanny ability to foresee events had left Azazel astonished. "Take a look at this, my lord," Azazel presented a tablet-sized mirror to Michael, a reflection of a gruesome tableau. The mirror unveiled a gory spectacle within its depths, a hall strewn with the lifeless bodies of soldiers and nobles. Blood adorned the walls in macabre patterns, leaving a chilling testament to the savagery that had unfolded. Scorch marks marred the surroundings, and once magnificent statues stood melted and disfigured by the unforgiving heat. The sheer amount of blood spilled was a testament to the carnage that had transpired. It was Azazel's masterful orchestration that brought about this scene, for Michael had no need to soil his hands when he had his trusted demon butler by his side. The Dark Lord's vengeance had been unleashed upon Quintus' wife and her father alone. Within the mirror, amidst the crimson chaos, Azazel pointed out a hazy white figure to Michael, a presence that piqued his curiosity and confirmed his suspicions of an unknown force operating in the shadows. "My lord, this fleeting blur appeared for a mere moment within the hall. Initially, I dismissed it as a glitch or a stray speck of dust. However, you had foreseen its arrival," Azazel explained, his voice tinged with intrigue. Michael's cunning plan had unfolded flawlessly, leaving Azazel astounded. After executing his vengeance upon Quintus' family, Michael had left a spider, a small surveillance device, concealed within their home. Its purpose was to record and transmit all subsequent events. The Dark Lord harbored a suspicion that the unknown force operating in the shadows was in league with Quintus, and he anticipated their presence within Quintus' abode upon receiving a message written in blood. True to his intuition, someone, or something, had materialized as expected. Michael allowed a wry smile to grace his lips, pleased with the success of his plan. He quickly focused his attention on the blurry figure captured by the spider's lens. With precision, he zoomed in on the image, straining his eyes to discern any discernible humanoid features. He swiped the screen, switching between different camera angles provided by the spiders in the vicinity. Regrettably, the elusive figure manifested and vanished with such speed that none of the spiders managed to capture a clear image. As the blurry figure caught Michael's attention, a flicker of recognition stirred within him, reminiscent of someone he had encountered before, Andreas. Unbeknownst to him, this ethereal presence was another iteration of Andreas, one that had met its demise at his hands. The Andreas currently aligned with Cilici had emerged from the depths of hatred for the Dark Lord, infused with the essence of hell flames. Nevertheless, the presence of the hazy figure served as confirmation that a formidable force was operating covertly against him. It propelled Michael further along his path toward eradicating these hidden adversaries. With a sense of satisfaction, Michael acknowledged the flawless execution of his plan. Now, all that remained was to bide his time, patiently awaiting the arrival of his adversaries. In his amusement, he likened their impending approach to that of a sacrificial goat, unknowingly drawn to its appointed butcher. A chuckle escaped his lips, filled with an air of sinister anticipation. "Now, let's just wait here and let the goat come running to its butcher," Michael chuckled. Michael devised two strategies to confront Quintus. The initial plan involved launching a surprise infiltration of Caius' mansion, where Quintus was believed to be hiding, based on information acquired from his network of spies. The alternative plan entailed luring Quintus directly to Michael's presence. After careful consideration, Michael opted for the latter, recognizing that this course of action would not only ensure Quintus' presence but also provide further validation of his existing suspicions regarding an elusive entity operating against him from the shadows. In essence, by implementing the second plan, Michael aimed to accomplish multiple objectives simultaneously, strategically positioning himself to confront Quintus and strengthen his certainty regarding the covert opposition he faced. Moreover, Michael desired Quintus' fate to serve as a stark warning and unmistakable message to all those who dared to align themselves with his adversaries. With a deliberate descent through the darkened skies, Michael could perceive the growing commotion emanating from Caius' opulent mansion. "Dark Lord!" Suddenly, a thunderous roar pierced through the night, carried by Quintus' commanding voice, echoing throughout the city and commanding attention from all who heard it. Under Quintus' tyrannical rule, a haunting darkness engulfed the once vibrant realm. The horror stories whispered among the townsfolk paled in comparison to the gruesome reality they faced. Quintus, a vampire of insatiable hunger, reveled in his sadistic reign, leaving a trail of shattered lives and broken spirits in his wake. Night after night, young souls, lured by false promises or seized under cover of darkness, vanished without a trace. Their cries for help echoed in the shadows, unheard and unanswered. Quintus, a predator hiding under Caius' manor, found pleasure in feasting upon the life essence of his victims. Their blood, once warm and pulsating with vitality, became his unholy elixir, prolonging his cursed existence. The people, trapped in a web of fear, lived in constant terror. Each passing day brought fresh nightmares as their loved ones disappeared one by one, leaving behind a void of anguish and unanswered questions. The once bustling streets now lay deserted and haunted, the atmosphere thick with an eerie silence. Hope flickered like a dying flame as the people yearned for a savior to vanquish this monstrous fiend. Whispers of resistance circulated in hushed tones, desperate pleas for someone, anyone, to rise against the nightmarish rule of Quintus. They longed for the light of justice to pierce through the suffocating darkness that had enveloped their lives. As the commotion echoed through the streets, a wave of fearful faces emerged from the safety of their homes. Yet, as Quintus' roar filled the night, a subtle sense of relief washed over them. Despite the world branding Michael as the malevolent Dark Lord, the reign of his loyal servant, Caius, had brought prosperity and happiness to Giselle. Under their joint leadership, the kingdom thrived, heading toward a golden era of prosperity. Even amid rumors of Caius' hidden allegiance to the Dark Lord, the people remained unconcerned, for their lives were filled with abundance and contentment. During Michael's absence in the depths of hell, a treacherous turn of events unfolded within the Sky Hall. The execution team, manipulated by sinister forces, falsely accused Caius of serving the evil Dark Lord and swiftly ended his life. In a chilling twist, Quintus, a far greater malevolence, seized control of Caius Manor, unleashing a reign of terror upon the land. The dark shadow of Quintus cast a sinister pall over the kingdom, as numerous young souls mysteriously vanished without a trace. Their lives were cruelly sacrificed, becoming nothing more than vessels of sustenance for Quintus' insatiable thirst for blood. The people, gripped by fear and living in perpetual dread, found themselves caught between the horrors of Quintus and the tales of the feared Dark Lord. So when Quintus roared the name, Dark Lord, an ironic sense of relief washed over them. Finally, Michael came face to face with the notorious Quintus, and the sight that met his eyes filled him with a seething rage. Quintus, in his audacity, had not only taken the life of Heinberg, one of Michael's trusted subordinates, but had also played a pivotal role in aiding the Sky Hall execution team's invasion of Giselle. The consequences of his actions were grim, leading to the execution and hanging of Caius, another loyal subordinate. However, it was Quintus' insolence that truly ignited Michael's fury. The vampire had brazenly donned the two remaining armor pieces, sacred relics left by the previous Dark Lord, meant to be wielded by Michael alone. This act of defiance struck at the very core of Michael's authority and challenged his rightful claim to power. It was an affront that would not go unanswered. As Michael examined Quintus more closely, a mix of surprise and curiosity overtook his initial anger. The transformation that Quintus had undergone was far more extreme than Michael had anticipated. Knowing that Quintus had been turned into a vampire by Fabia Viridius under the orders of Saber, Michael couldn't help but question the extent of the experiments conducted on him. The abomination standing before him, with twisted features and a monstrous aura, bore little resemblance to the man Quintus once was. The grotesque appearance, marked by elongated fangs, pale and gaunt features, and an unsettling aura of darkness, hinted at the depths of depravity that Quintus had descended into. Michael's astonishment mingled with a sense of apprehension, as he realized that Fabia's experiments alone could not account for the monstrous being that Quintus had become. Due to the manipulation of the Sky Hall execution team, even the loyal soldiers of Caius were compelled to follow the orders of the newly appointed senators. When the team, in collusion with the Senate, declared Quintus as the senator of defense, the soldiers had no choice but to obey. However, the soldiers and the general populace had only known Quintus before his transformation into a vampire. In their eyes, he was a ruthless Spartan general driven by a lust for conquest and the expansion of Kingdom Morel. None of them could fathom that Quintus had long forsaken his humanity in exchange for dark powers as a vampire. Furthermore, by donning the armor pieces left by the previous Dark Lord, his soul and physical form had been irreversibly corrupted, turning him into a horrifying abomination. Thus, when Quintus made his first public appearance, emerging from Caius Manor, the soldiers guarding the premises were left utterly shocked and horrified by the grotesque sight before them. The sight of Quintus left the soldiers frozen in shock and disbelief, rendering them unable to move or react. None of them could recognize the once respected Spartan general in the abomination before them. However, the training and discipline ingrained within them allowed some soldiers to shake off their initial fear and attempt to confront this monstrous creature. Yet, Quintus swiftly launched himself at the soldiers, his long tongue coiling around their necks like a deadly serpent, and mercilessly sank his fangs deep into their vulnerable flesh. Blood was swiftly drained from the soldiers' bodies as Quintus moved from one victim to another, his insatiable thirst fueling his growing power. Michael calmly observed the scene, his keen eyes capturing every chilling detail, noting the evident enhancement of Quintus' strength with each life he consumed. "My lord, permit me to vanquish that abomination," Azazel requested, his eyes filled with determination. However, Michael gently declined, shaking his head in response. "I have another individual who is eager for this confrontation," Michael calmly stated, gesturing towards the ground below them as Azazel followed his gaze. To their surprise, Saber emerged, walking with an air of tranquility towards the bridge that connected the city to Caius Manor. "This abomination was created within one of Saber's laboratories, and it is his responsibility to eradicate it," Michael declared as he descended gracefully to the ground, landing with poise. With a mere flick of his wrist, his magnificent throne materialized beneath him, and he settled into it, ready to observe the impending battle between Saber and Quintus. Despite Quintus having donned the coveted armor pieces that Michael had tirelessly sought, he resisted the urge to dispatch Quintus himself swiftly. This presented an unparalleled opportunity to witness Saber's combat prowess firsthand. It was a crucial test for Saber, and if he proved his mettle, Michael would bestow upon him the esteemed title of the King of Nightwalkers. Quintus, moving with unnatural agility on all fours, approached the imposing iron gates that stood as the last barrier between him and the Dark Lord. His elongated tongue writhed ominously, revealing its grotesque split end. As Quintus drew nearer, a putrid stench of decay and sulfur permeated the air, assaulting the senses of those unfortunate enough to be in close proximity. Blood oozed from his mutilated body, dripping onto the ground with a sickening rhythm. The sight was truly macabre as Quintus' skin peeled away, revealing raw flesh underneath. His face, once distinguished, now bore the marks of his transformation, with chunks of flesh hanging loosely from his skeletal features. The blood that seeped from his wounds mixed with the dirt on the ground, creating a vile concoction of gore and filth. With a ferocious burst of strength, Quintus lunged at the iron gates, his clawed hands tearing into the metal with a screeching cacophony. The gates groaned under the onslaught, straining against the force exerted by this unholy abomination. In an instant, the gates crumbled, reduced to twisted remnants of their former glory. Quintus' gaze locked onto Saber, who stood resolute between him and the Dark Lord. Their eyes met, an intense confrontation of wills, as the air crackled with anticipation. The scene was a grisly tableau, with Quintus' disfigured form and Saber's unwavering determination creating a stark contrast against the backdrop of chaos and destruction. Chapter 966. Getting the last two armor pieces. Saber, despite his youthful appearance, exuded an air of authority and power that belied his age. His jet-black hair, styled in a loosely messy manner, framed his piercing blue eyes, which glinted with a hint of otherworldly wisdom. A hat adorned his head, adding a touch of mystery to his overall ensemble. Clad in black trousers and a matching coat that billowed slightly in the wind, he presented a striking figure against the backdrop of chaos and darkness. White gloves adorned his hands, contrasting sharply with the darkness of his attire. His handsome features bore a hint of disgust, a resolute expression that reflected his unwavering resolve to stand against the abomination before him. Despite his youthful appearance, Saber was no ordinary teenager. As an elder vampire, he had reached the pinnacle of his kind, attaining the revered level 10 fusion stage. Combined with the potent elixirs provided by Michael and his innate elder vampire traits, Saber had become a formidable force to be reckoned with, capable of challenging even a half-immortal. In his eyes, there was no trace of fear, only a deep-seated repulsion for the monstrosity that stood before him. With every fiber of his being, Saber was prepared to unleash his full power to impress the Dark Lord and vanquish the foul creature that dared to threaten their dominion. Dark Lord! Quintus' piercing gaze shifted past Saber and locked onto Michael, the Dark Lord himself, who reclined on his throne with an air of nonchalant indifference. Resting one leg on top of the other, his head cradled by his fist, Michael exuded an aura of supreme confidence. Standing beside the throne, Azazel stood tall, a loyal sentinel ready to defend his lord at any cost. Quintus' eyes, burning with a malevolent mix of rage and bloodlust, bore into Michael with an intensity that could ignite the heavens. The Dark Lord's actions had brought about the annihilation of Quintus' beloved family, and now, the vampire thirsted for nothing less than tearing Michael apart limb from limb. With every fiber of his being consumed by vengeance, Quintus' crimson eyes flickered with a fiery determination, fueled by a primal urge to exact his revenge upon the Dark Lord who had shattered his world. The moment of reckoning had arrived, and Quintus could scarcely contain his anticipation, yearning for the opportunity to render Michael's very existence into oblivion. "Get the fuck out of my way, Saber." Quintus' thunderous roar reverberated through the air, catching Saber off guard as his own name echoed in Quintus' furious proclamation. A flicker of surprise crossed Saber's face, but he quickly recalled the Dark Lord's briefing, where he had disclosed the infiltration of the Guardian spies within the Dark Army. It dawned on Saber that his name might have been leaked, but he remained composed, knowing that the Dark Lord had a strategic plan in place to turn the tables on the Guardians themselves. Quintus, consumed by an inferno of rage and vampiric bloodlust, unleashed his wrathful tirade, describing in vivid detail how he would annihilate the Dark Lord and everyone he held dear. His words, laced with venomous anger, painted a gruesome picture of the torment and destruction he envisioned. "I'll rip that fucking Dark Lord apart limb by limb. He shouldn't have dared to lay a goddamn finger on my family. I'll make sure he suffers 1,000-fold for what he's done." Quintus' voice crackled with raw fury as he continued to unleash his vengeful threats. His fangs glistened with anticipation, eager to taste the Dark Lord's blood and relish in the macabre pleasure of tearing apart his adversaries. The vampire's eyes burned with an unholy fire, their crimson depths radiating a chilling intensity that would freeze the blood of any who dared to stand in his way. Saber's lip curled in a disdainful sneer. "What a pathetic disgrace," he scoffed, his voice dripping with disgust. His fingers tightened around the brim of his hat. Frustration was evident in his piercing blue eyes. Slowly and deliberately, he removed the hat from his head, revealing his combed but loosely messy black hair. The disdain in Saber's voice deepened as he spoke, his words carrying a cold certainty. "I should have personally ended Fabia's miserable existence for daring to create such an abomination using my own blood." The air around him crackled with quiet intensity as he tossed the hat aside, his focus solely fixed on Quintus. With a measured calmness, Saber locked eyes with Quintus, his gaze unyielding. His tone remained steady and composed, though an underlying threat resonated in his words. "Hand over the 2 armor pieces that rightfully belong to the Dark Lord, and I may consider sparing you the agony of being torn apart into countless pieces." The weight of Saber's presence was undeniable, his power and confidence radiating like an aura around him. His gloved hands remained at his sides, ready to unleash the full extent of his formidable abilities should Quintus dare to resist. A twisted grin spread across Quintus' face as he spoke, his voice laced with sadistic anticipation. "I've never had the pleasure of tasting the blood of an elder vampire. I wonder how exquisite the flavor would be," he taunted, prowling back and forth on all fours. In a disturbing display, Quintus rose to his full height, his hands dropping to his sides, revealing nails elongated into deadly claws. Saber's expression remained stoic, his eyes narrowing slightly as he adjusted his coat with a nonchalant gesture. His voice carried a cool confidence, cutting through the tension in the air. "So you've chosen to embrace a painful demise. How utterly predictable," he remarked calmly, his words underscoring his unshaken resolve. Quintus launched himself at Saber with incredible speed, his claws slashing through the air. Saber swiftly evaded the attack, his movements fluid and precise. He retaliated with a series of calculated strikes, landing blows that seemed to weaken Quintus with every hit. Unleashing his mastery over spells, Saber tapped into his vampiric powers. He channeled his energy into a spell known as Crimson Chains, summoning ethereal tendrils of blood that snaked through the air toward Quintus. The chains coiled around Quintus' limbs, restricting his movements and draining his strength. Not content with just restraining his opponent, Saber followed up with another spell called Hemorrhage. He directed his focus toward Quintus' body, causing his blood vessels to rupture and bleed profusely. Quintus howled in pain as crimson streams flowed from his wounds, weakening him further. With each passing moment, Saber maintained his composure, exploiting Quintus' vulnerabilities. He weaved intricate patterns in the air, conjuring a spell known as Bloodbound Shield. The shield formed a barrier of pulsating blood, deflecting Quintus' frenzied attacks and protecting Saber from harm. The battle raged on as Saber's strategic maneuvers and precise spellcasting gave him the upper hand. His control over blood manipulation proved to be a formidable advantage as he continued to outmaneuver and weaken Quintus at every turn. The outcome of the battle was far from certain, but Saber's calm demeanor and calculated tactics hinted at his eventual victory. As Quintus faced Saber's relentless assault, he unleashed his own feral and savage fighting style. His claws sliced through the air with deadly precision, aiming for Saber's vulnerable spots. With each strike, Quintus displayed his raw power and ferocity, fueled by his vampiric bloodlust. The armor pieces attached to Quintus' chest radiated an eerie crimson glow, surrounded by crackling red lightning that danced around him. The armor, adorned with the skull symbol of the Dark Lord, acted as a shield, repelling Saber's spells and mitigating their impact. The lightning-infused protection granted Quintus a brief respite from Saber's onslaught, bolstering his defense and enabling him to retaliate. Seizing the opportunity, Quintus lunged forward, his elongated tongue whipping through the air like a deadly whip. He aimed to ensnare Saber and draw him closer for a devastating strike. His supernatural strength and agility, coupled with the protection of the Dark Lord's armor, made Quintus a formidable adversary. With a primal roar, Quintus unleashed a flurry of rapid strikes, his claws tearing through the air with blinding speed. The armor pieces emitted bursts of crimson lightning, empowering his attacks and infusing them with additional destructive force. Each blow landed with bone-crushing impact, aimed at overwhelming Saber's defenses and wearing him down. As Quintus unleashed his vicious onslaught, Saber maintained a calm and composed demeanor, evading and parrying his attacks with calculated precision. While Quintus fought with wild ferocity, it became evident that Saber was intentionally restraining his full power, as if toying with his opponent. Despite the intensity of the battle, Saber's movements were graceful and calculated, his actions guided by strategic prowess and supernatural agility. He weaved effortlessly through Quintus' strikes, countering with fluid and well-timed maneuvers. It seemed as though Saber was testing Quintus, probing his weaknesses and exploiting them with measured precision. The clash continued as Quintus' power waned, gradually diminishing from his supposed half-immortal level 1 to the lower fusion stage. It became apparent that Quintus' previous display of half-immortal cultivation was merely a facade fueled by the blood essence he had absorbed from the soldiers he had slain. This illusory power was a far cry from the genuine strength of a true half-immortal. While Quintus relied on the temporary surge of borrowed power, Saber's true strength emanated from his innate abilities as an elder vampire, further enhanced by Michael's potent potions. With each passing moment, Saber's superiority over Quintus became more apparent, his movements calculated and efficient, never wasting unnecessary energy. Saber's measured approach conveyed a sense of confidence and assuredness. He knew that, despite Quintus' menacing presence and the crimson lightning-infused armor, the true extent of his adversary's power fell short. Saber was biding his time, waiting for the opportune moment to unleash his full strength and bring an end to the battle on his terms. With a swift agility, Saber gracefully evaded Quintus' frenzied attack, sidestepping his slashing claws and darting past his menacing tongue. In a display of sheer strength, Saber seized Quintus' elongated tongue in a firm grip, yanking him closer with a forceful pull. With a concentrated focus, Saber channeled his power into a single devastating punch that sent Quintus hurtling through the air, crashing into a nearby structure with a resounding impact. As the dust settled, Saber slowly removed his gloves, revealing his pale, flawless hands. His once calm and composed expression transformed into a resolute determination, and his piercing blue eyes underwent a gradual metamorphosis, the tranquil hue shifting to a vibrant crimson red, reflecting the intensity of his unleashed power. Drawing upon his mastery of blood-related spells, Saber tapped into the primal forces that flowed within his veins. In a seamless motion, he began weaving an intricate pattern with his outstretched hands, conjuring the essence of blood itself. Scarlet tendrils of energy swirled around his fingertips, pulsating with a sinister vitality. With a sudden surge of power, Saber launched his first spell, aptly named Crimson Vortex. As his hands whirled through the air, the swirling vortex of blood-red energy materialized before him. It expanded rapidly, engulfing the surrounding area with a hypnotic crimson glow. The sheer force of the vortex created a vacuum, drawing Quintus toward its center. Saber's second spell, Veins of Nightfall, complemented the crimson vortex, adding an ethereal touch to his onslaught. From his fingertips, wisps of dark shadows materialized, intertwining with the crimson energy. These shadowy tendrils extended toward Quintus, wrapping around him like serpents, constricting his movements and sapping away his strength. Within the combined grasp of the crimson vortex and the veins of nightfall, Quintus found himself ensnared in a maelstrom of blood and shadows. The pulsating crimson energy gnawed at his flesh, penetrating his defenses, while the inky darkness drained his vitality with every passing moment. Quintus thrashed and writhed, his movements becoming feeble and his monstrous form gradually succumbing to the overwhelming onslaught. as Saber maintained his unwavering focus, his eyes ablaze with crimson intensity. He unleashed the full might of his blood-infused spells. The scene unfolded with vivid imagery, the convergence of blood and shadows creating an otherworldly spectacle. The air crackled with raw power as the combined assault ravaged Quintus, tearing through his defenses and eroding his vampiric resilience. In this climactic confrontation, Saber's mastery over blood magic and his intrinsic elder vampire prowess fused seamlessly, forming an unstoppable force against his adversary. The onslaught of blood and shadows enveloped Quintus, marking the beginning of his inevitable downfall at the hands of Saber's relentless onslaught. As Saber pressed his advantage, his crimson-infused onslaught continued unabated. Each strike landed with surgical precision, targeting vulnerable points on Quintus' body. With each bone-crushing blow, a sickening crack echoed through the air, signifying the shattering of Quintus' defenses. Blood erupted from Quintus' mouth, spurting in crimson arcs with each impact. The once formidable vampire writhed in agony, his monstrous form now reduced to a battered and broken shell. As Saber's assault intensified, Quintus' body became a canvas of pain and brutality. In a merciless display of dominance, Saber seized Quintus' outstretched arm, twisting it with an unholy strength that surpassed the limits of mortal capabilities. Bones snapped and splintered, punctuating the air with a symphony of torment. Quintus' agonized screams echoed through the desolate surroundings, blending with the chaotic clash of battle. With a primal fury burning in his crimson eyes, Saber relentlessly pursued his onslaught. He moved with a ruthless grace, evading Quintus' feeble attempts at defense while delivering devastating strikes that further shattered the vampire's deteriorating form. Each blow sent shockwaves of pain rippling through Quintus' body, reducing him to a pitiful broken creature. As the battle neared its climax, Saber seized hold of Quintus' elongated tongue, the very instrument that had caused so much suffering. With a surge of strength, he yanked it free from Quintus' twisted maw, eliciting a gory fountain of blood. The severed appendage dangled from Saber's grip, a macabre testament to his triumph over his vampiric foe. Bloodied and broken, Quintus gasped for air, his body racked with convulsions. His once formidable presence was reduced to a pitiful heap, limbs twisted and mangled. Every inch of his being bore the marks of Saber's merciless assault, a testament to the unleashed fury of a determined elder vampire. The battlefield was drenched in a ghastly tableau of crimson, the very life essence of Quintus spilling out in torrents. The air hung heavy with the metallic scent of blood, mingling with the acrid tang of decay. The scene bore witness to the raw brutality of the encounter, a visceral display of the consequences faced by those who dared to challenge Saber's unyielding resolve. The once formidable Quintus lay broken and defeated, his monstrous visage reduced to a shattered husk. The battle had reached its horrific conclusion, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. With Quintus lying broken and defeated, Saber approached the fallen vampire, his gaze filled with disdain. He reached down, his gloved hand closing around the two armor pieces that adorned Quintus' chest. With a powerful yank, he tore them from their resting place, causing Quintus to roar in a mixture of pain and fury. At that moment, Saber's voice cut through the air like a blade, his tone laced with a cold superiority that pierced Quintus' wounded pride. "You are nothing more than a pitiful byproduct of twisted experiments," he hissed, his words dripping with contempt. "A mockery of what it means to be a vampire, born from the meddling of inferior beings." As Quintus writhed in agony, his monstrous form battered and broken, Saber towered over him, radiating an aura of dominance. Without a hint of mercy, Saber raised his boot high above Quintus' head, the final blow poised to descend. The weight of his conviction fueled the force behind his strike, amplified by his unyielding determination to rid the world of this abomination. In a resounding act of retribution, he brought his foot crashing down, meeting Quintus' skull with devastating force. A sickening crunch reverberated through the air as bone shattered and flesh gave way beneath Saber's merciless assault. Quintus' head crumpled beneath the impact, reducing it to a gruesome, unrecognizable pulp of blood and shattered fragments. Saber's boot remained firmly planted on the remains, a symbol of his triumph and a testament to the unyielding power he possessed. The battlefield was silenced, save for the faint echoes of Saber's victorious blow. The lifeless body of Quintus lay motionless, a grim reminder of the consequences that befell those who dared to cross the Dark Lord. After dealing the final blow to Quintus, Saber turned his gaze towards Michael, who sat regally upon his throne, observing the aftermath. As he reached Michael's side, he gracefully dropped to one knee, a sign of reverence and submission. With a solemn gesture, he extended his hand, presenting the 2 armor pieces he had ripped from Quintus' chest. Michael, his eyes gleaming with satisfaction, rose from his throne, accepting the offered artifacts. As his fingertips made contact with the ancient armor, a surge of power coursed through the pieces, causing the crimson-red lightning that once encircled them to dissipate. It was as if they had found their rightful place in the presence of their true creator. Carefully, Michael placed the armor pieces into his system storage, a secure sanctuary for precious relics. Michael unsheathed his dark swords as the blades hummed with a dark energy that resonated with the very essence of their master. Drawing closer to Saber, Michael touched the tip of his sword against the vampire's shoulder, the cold metal making contact with his flesh. The weight of the moment hung in the air, anticipation and significance intermingling. This was the final test I had prepared for you, and you have exceeded my expectations, as I always knew you would. Michael spoke with a voice that carried both authority and admiration. His words held the weight of a solemn declaration. From this day forward, you shall bear the title of the King of Nightwalkers. I bestow upon you this honor, recognizing your unwavering loyalty and unwavering strength. Chapter 967. Evil Armor Pieces. As soon as Saber dealt the final blow to Quintus, chaos erupted in the aftermath. The Spartan soldiers of Giselle, driven by their duty to capture anyone associated with the Dark Lord, found themselves facing the very embodiment of their mission. Their spears were raised, forming a defensive barrier around Michael and Saber, unsure of how to confront the Dark Lord himself. In that critical moment, Michael's actions surprised them all. Instead of unleashing his wrath upon the soldiers, he defied their expectations and ascended gracefully into the sky. The soldiers watched in awe as the Dark Lord vanished from their sight, leaving behind a lingering sense of both relief and bewilderment. The encounter challenged their preconceived notions and left them questioning the nature of their mission. Upon arriving at the Dark Castle, Michael wasted no time. He swiftly made his way to the portal room, its eerie aura beckoning him toward the unknown. With Eladir by his side, they stepped through the swirling vortex, entering the realm of their secretive forge. In the dimly lit chamber, Michael carefully arranged the 5 armor pieces upon a sturdy table. He scrutinized each fragment, his eyes tracing the intricate details alongside Eladir. Together, they embarked on a meticulous examination, seeking to unravel the secrets embedded within the ancient relics. Eladir's voice echoed through the forge, tinged with uncertainty. There must be additional armor pieces. These 5 alone won't suffice to forge a complete armor. Michael had always sensed a lingering incompleteness about the collection of armor pieces. Even at best, assembling them would only result in a partial chest plate. Silently, he picked up the 5 fragments, carefully aligning them together like an intricate puzzle. As the pieces interlocked, a subtle transformation occurred. The armor emanated a dim, crimson glow. A slender tendril of ominous dark smoke escaped from the assembled armor pieces, swirling and coalescing into a tangible sentence. The words materialized before Michael and Eladir, their meaning etched into the air. Do not rely on me for everything. Forge your own path and armor. These 5 fragments are merely a small part of a greater puzzle. Complete your armor according to your own life and future. The message hung in the forge, its weight sinking into Michael's consciousness. He felt a mixture of intrigue and determination, realizing that he had to embark on his own journey to shape his destiny and create a formidable armor that aligned with his individual path. The challenge was clear: to find the missing pieces and forge a unique armor that reflected his own life's journey. Damn. Sometimes I can be a real asshole, huh? Michael let out a frustrated sigh, feeling a mix of irritation and self-reflection. It dawned on him that the previous Dark Lord had deliberately left him with incomplete armor, placing the burden of completing it squarely on his own shoulders. The realization gave him a glimpse into the complex and sometimes manipulative nature of his predecessor. Meanwhile, Eladir seemed unperturbed by the previous Dark Lord's intentions as he focused his attention on the armor pieces. His fingers delicately traced the surface, exploring every crevice and contour. With a sense of excitement, he beckoned Michael to take a closer look. Look here, my lord. Eladir pointed to the seemingly plain black surface of the armor pieces. At first glance, Michael saw nothing remarkable, but as he peered closer, his eyes discerned the presence of minuscule intricate runes. These markings, invisible to the naked eye, adorned the surface of the armor pieces, their purpose and meaning concealed within their cryptic forms. Curiosity piqued, Michael turned to Eladir, his eyes filled with anticipation. He sought the rune master's expertise, hoping for insights into the enigmatic runes etched upon the armor pieces. However, to his astonishment, he noticed a flicker of fear in Ellider's expression, an unease that sent a ripple of concern through Michael's mind. "What do these runes signify?" Michael inquired, his voice laced with both intrigue and a tinge of apprehension. He expected Ellider, as the sole rune master in the service of the previous Dark Lord, to possess knowledge beyond his own. Ellider hesitated for a moment before responding, his voice tinged with a mix of caution and genuine surprise. "These runes. They surpass any complexity and power I have encountered in my years of study. I can't claim them as my own. They bear an uncanny resemblance to the runes you once entrusted me to engrave in the mortar. It's highly likely that these runes are the handiwork of the previous Dark Lord." Michael's mind spun with possibilities as he considered the implications. His previous self, having delved into the realm of rune mastery, had left a mark on the very armor he now held. Yet, the intensity of fear reflected in Ellider's eyes puzzled him. "Are you suggesting that my previous self became a master of runes?" Michael mused aloud, his voice laced with intrigue. As he mulled over the notion, he couldn't shake the disquieting realization that there was more to these runes than met the eye. The aura of fear surrounding Ellider only deepened the mystery, prompting Michael to probe further. Eager for clarity, Michael pressed on, his tone laced with a mix of curiosity and concern. "But why do you appear apprehensive, Ellider? Surely, my previous self's proficiency with runes should be a cause for celebration." Sensing Ellider's underlying unease, he sought to understand the source of his rune master's flustered demeanor. "Let's assume that my previous self inscribed these runes upon the armor. But I can't help but notice your unease," Michael probed, his voice filled with a mix of intrigue and a desire for clarity. Ellider, his eyes fixed upon the intricate runes, took a deep breath to steady himself. He carefully weighed his words, fully aware of the gravity of the situation. "If my understanding of these runes is accurate," Ellider began cautiously, "they serve a purpose beyond their mere existence. They seem to possess the power to subdue a malevolent, dark energy emanating from these very armor pieces." A chill crept down Michael's spine as he contemplated the implications of Ellider's revelation. The notion of dark energy intertwined with his previous self's creation sent ripples of both apprehension and intrigue through his mind. However, to Michael's surprise, his own calm demeanor seemed to irk Ellider, who displayed a hint of irritation. Dark energy, intertwined with the legacy of the Dark Lord. It does seem fitting, Michael mused, shrugging off the implications with a nonchalant gesture. Yet, Ellider's response and lingering unease prompted him to delve deeper into the matter, seeking a more thorough understanding. However, Ellider's exasperation could not be contained as he shook his head, a subtle flicker of irritation coloring his expression. It was evident that Michael's composed facade in the face of potential danger was testing the rune master's patience. "Please, my lord, this is no time for indifference," Ellider implored, his voice tinged with a mix of urgency and concern. "We must not underestimate the gravity of this dark energy. It possesses a potency that can lead to unforeseen consequences." As Ellider voiced his concerns about the dark energy, an eerie aura permeated the forge, causing the space around Michael to distort. Sensing a presence, he turned his gaze over his shoulder, only to find Eve entering the forge with a sense of urgency. "I need something," Eve began, her words abruptly halting as her eyes fell upon the foreboding sight of the armor pieces. A pallor washed over her face, her body trembling involuntarily. In her alarmed state, she rushed towards Michael, nearly toppling several tools from the table in her haste. Panic filled Eve's voice as she pressed her trembling hand against Michael's shoulder. "Where did you obtain these? They must be discarded immediately." Michael, puzzled by Eve's vehement reaction, attempted to assuage her fears, his voice laced with a mix of confusion and reassurance. "Calm yourself, Eve. These are the very armor pieces I spoke of, left to me by my previous self 5,000 years ago. Why does their presence terrify you as well?" Eve's wide-eyed expression reflected her genuine terror as she desperately conveyed her first-hand experiences. "These armor pieces exude the same corruptive energy I witnessed within the dark crystal from the dwarves. It possesses an insidious force that twists and corrupts, transforming even the noblest of beings into mindless fiends consumed by an insatiable thirst for power. We cannot allow this darkness to take hold. We must rid ourselves of these accursed pieces before they taint our very souls." Eladir nodded in agreement with Eve, understanding her concerns. He turned to Michael with a serious expression, his voice filled with caution. I see the wisdom in Eve's words, my lord. These runes indeed hold the power to subdue the malevolent energy emanating from the armor pieces. However, I fear that wearing armor infused with these 5 pieces may pose a great risk. It would be wise to dispose of them and seek alternative means to forge a new armor for your protection, Eladir implored, his eyes reflecting his earnest desire for Michael's safety. He hoped Michael would heed their advice and prioritize his well-being over the allure of the powerful but potentially dangerous armor. However, Michael couldn't help but let out a confident chuckle, his eyes glinting with determination. He lifted one of the armor pieces adorned with a skull engraving, his emblem, which shimmered brilliantly in the warm glow of the furnace's golden light. People have a habit of branding the unfamiliar as evil. But I'm no ordinary dwarf to succumb to this energy's corruption. I am the god of darkness, Michael declared with unwavering self-assurance. He embraced his identity as the god of darkness, fully aware of the immense power he possessed, his words dripping with confidence and power. With Eve and Eladir gone, the forge was now empty, leaving Michael to immerse himself in the task of forging his armor. He cleared his mind, focusing solely on the creation before him. Taking a piece of paper, he began sketching the design of his envisioned armor. The chest plate took shape, adorned with a fearsome skull, its crimson eyes staring out with an aura of menacing power. No longer needing to conceal his face, Michael omitted a mask, allowing the armor to cover his entire body from neck to toe. His imagination soared as he drafted metal wings that would be seamlessly integrated into the armor's structure. These wings would grant him the ability to defy gravity and traverse environments that hindered his arch-energy, such as the treacherous demon's grave. Alongside the wings, he incorporated the APD Mark III grappling hook and the Olympus, a versatile tool of immense power. A clever addition was the spraying mechanism on his palm, enabling him to release potent toxins and poisons when needed. But what truly delighted him was the face cloak system he devised. This ingenious feature would conceal his face with a menacing skull mask, providing protection when submerged underwater or in need of shielding his head. Not forgetting practicality, the armor boasted a majestic cape that materialized when the metal wings were closed, billowing regally. And to ensure readiness for battle, sword sheaths adorned his back, providing easy access to his trusted blades. Additionally, slots were strategically placed around his waist, ready to house an array of gadgets and tools. As Michael completed the sketch, a sense of anticipation and satisfaction washed over him. The envisioned armor seemed to come alive on paper, embodying his dark essence and immense power. With the system offline, Michael knew he would have to rely on the metals available in the world to forge his armor. Luckily, his expertise as a blacksmith granted him the ability to work with the raw materials found in his surroundings. He planned to craft the initial version of his armor using these worldly metals while reserving the option to upgrade it later with the metal ores that could be obtained from the system. Assigning the task of locating the finest metals to his trusted subordinates, Michael set them on the mission to gather the necessary materials. Meanwhile, he took another sheet of paper and began sketching an armor design for Gaia, his soon-to-be wife. Chapter 968. Final battle against the Guardian Guild begins. While Michael was engrossed in sketching his Dark Lord armor, Alara Valrin, the leader of the Guardian Guild, called for a meeting of all the guild members. They were summoned to the grand hall of their headquarters. Alara instructed the Guardians who hadn't resigned after Azazel's ultimatum to evacuate their current headquarters in the Aur continent. Instead, she urged them to regroup at their headquarters in the Azer continent. Ideally, Alara would have preferred to confront the Dark Lord from their Aur continent stronghold, as it provided better defensive advantages. However, the Empress of Aur had issued a mandate for them to vacate the continent entirely. The Empress was concerned about Aur becoming a target for the Dark Lord's forces. As a result, Alara and the Guardian Guild found themselves forced to make their final stand against the Dark Lord in the Azer continent. Their headquarters, a formidable structure, stood proudly on Hulwick Isle, a solitary island named in honor of the second Supreme Guardian of the Guild. In this critical moment, numerous warships diligently patrolled the tranquil sea surrounding the island while airships vigilantly kept watch over the skies above. Inside the majestic Grand Hall, Alara commanded attention as she stood upon a raised stage, gazing out at the assembled guardians before her. This unwavering group of 600 loyal guild members, united by their unwavering dedication, had refused to heed the Dark Lord's ominous ultimatum and resign from their posts. They stood resolute, prepared to face the Dark Lord head-on, even if it meant sacrificing their very lives for the guild they held dear. In a remarkable display of unity and discipline, the Guardians arranged themselves in a precise formation within the hall. With military precision, they stood shoulder to shoulder, their unwavering resolve mirrored in their steadfast alignment. Standing tall behind Alara Valrin, the esteemed Alpha Guardian of Hunter Guardians, were Roshan, the Alpha Guardian of the Beast Guardians, donning his formidable armor. Beside him stood Vivian, the Alpha Guardian of Sorcerer Guardians, her enchanting presence accentuated by her intricately adorned attire. Completing the trio was Garrick, the Alpha Guardian of Warrior Guardians, emanating strength and valor through his resplendent armor. Despite their unwavering strength and readiness to make the ultimate sacrifice for their guild, a faint trace of fear lingered in the eyes of the remaining Guardians. And rightly so, for their formidable adversary was none other than the Dark Lord himself. It seemed like just yesterday when they had extended an offer to Ghost, considering him as a potential trainee Guardian. However, he had rejected their offer and embarked on a path that led him to become the Dark Lord. In a mere span of 2 years, Ghost had amassed such overwhelming power that he posed a grave threat not only to the guild but to its very existence, which had spanned thousands of years. Alara Valrin, standing tall on the elevated stage, gazed upon the gathered Guardians with a mix of determination and compassion in her eyes. She understood the weight of the impending battle and the fear that gripped their hearts. Taking a deep breath, she began her speech. "My fellow Guardians," Alara's voice rang out with strength, commanding the attention of everyone in the Grand Hall. "Today, we stand on the precipice of a battle that will test our very souls. The Dark Lord has unleashed a reign of terror upon our lands, leaving destruction in his wake." A murmur of agreement and unease rippled through the Guardians as Alara's words resonated with their own experiences. They remembered the day when the Ithalan Island, a once flourishing realm, had been shattered into pieces, disappearing beneath the unforgiving waves. The loss of an entire island and its inhabitants had shaken them to their core. Alara continued, her voice unwavering. "The Dark Lord's heinous acts extend beyond mere destruction. He has ruthlessly wiped out the noble royal family of Thusia, eradicating their legacy and bringing pain to our realm. His power knows no bounds, and his thirst for dominance threatens everything we hold dear." The Guardians listened intently, their expressions a mix of sorrow, anger, and determination. Each one had felt the sting of the Dark Lord's actions, the personal losses they had suffered at his hands. But Alara's words kindled a fire within them, reminding them of their duty as protectors. "But we, my dear Guardians, we are the light in the face of this darkness," Alara proclaimed, her voice filled with conviction. "We have trained for this moment, honing our skills, and cultivating our indomitable spirit. We have pledged our lives to defend the innocent, to safeguard our realms from the forces of evil." A renewed sense of purpose filled the hall as Alara's words resonated with the Guardians. They straightened their postures, their eyes shining with a flicker of hope amidst the impending storm. "Our unity is our greatest strength," Alara continued, her voice rising with fervor. "Together, we shall stand against the Dark Lord, united by our unwavering loyalty to the Guild and our unwavering belief in the power of good. We will not falter, nor will we yield, for we are the protectors of light and guardians of justice." A surge of determination coursed through the hearts of the Guardians, their spirits lifting as they absorbed Alara's words. They knew the road ahead would be perilous, but they were resolute in their mission to confront the Dark Lord. As Alara concluded her speech, the Grand Hall resounded with thunderous applause and fervent cheers. The Guardians, their fears momentarily set aside, embraced the strength that came from their unity. Emboldened by the Guardians' response, Alara Valrin raised her hand, gesturing for silence. The hall fell into hushed anticipation as all eyes remained fixed on her. "But let us not forget," Alara's voice carried a note of solemnity, "that this battle will demand everything from us. It will test our resolve, our courage, and our faith. We must be prepared to face our darkest fears, to confront the very embodiment of evil that stands before us." A somber silence settled over the room, the weight of Alara's words sinking in. The Guardians exchanged glances, a mixture of determination and trepidation mirrored in their eyes. They knew the path ahead was fraught with danger, but they were not alone. They had each other, bound by a shared purpose that would see them through even the darkest of times. "Our fallen comrades, those who have bravely fought and sacrificed their lives, their spirits live on within us." Alara's voice carried a touch of reverence. "They have bestowed upon us a legacy that we must honor with unwavering dedication. Their sacrifices will not be forgotten as long as we draw breath. The guardians nodded in silent agreement, their thoughts turning to those who had fallen, the memories of their fallen brethren fueling their resolve. They were a testament to the indomitable spirit that resided within them, a legacy that compelled them to rise above their own fears. And remember, my fellow guardians, we fight not only for ourselves but for the countless lives that depend on us. Elara's voice grew fierce, her gaze sweeping across the hall. We fight for the innocent, the vulnerable, and the future that hangs in the balance. We fight for the hope that lies within every beating heart. A renewed determination ignited within the guardians, an unyielding resolve that banished their lingering fears. They understood the weight of their duty, the responsibility that had been entrusted to them. They would not allow the darkness to snuff out the flame of hope. So, my brave guardians, let us stand together shoulder to shoulder as we march into battle. Elara's voice rang with unwavering conviction. Let our unity be an impenetrable shield against the forces of darkness. Let our courage be a beacon of light amidst the encroaching shadows. And let our unwavering resolve be the weapon that shatters the tyranny of the Dark Lord. A thunderous roar erupted from the guardians, their spirits soaring with newfound determination. The grand hall vibrated with their resounding cheers, echoing throughout the headquarters, a testament to their unbreakable spirit. When the echoes faded, Elara Valrin stepped down from the stage, her heart filled with pride and gratitude. She knew that this battle would be their greatest challenge yet, but she had faith in the Guardians' unwavering spirit and their unyielding dedication to the cause. As Elara delivered her impassioned speech, Salisi, accompanied by Evan, made their way into the underground treasury beneath Hulwick Isle. This secret vault housed a vast collection of treasures, gold coins, and artifacts belonging to the Guardian Guild. While the majority of their valuable possessions were securely stored in the Grand Spire Bank, the wealth amassed over thousands of years still overflowed within the treasury beneath the island. It was a testament to the Guild's long and prosperous history, a repository of immeasurable value awaiting its guardians' safekeeping. In the midst of the tranquil blue underwater surroundings, Salisi found herself floating, knowing well that it was merely an illusion. She held a golden cube in her hand, recognizing its true purpose. With a simple flick of her wrist, Salisi activated the cube, deftly maneuvering it in intricate patterns. As the cube responded to her touch, a brilliant beam of light burst forth, shattering the illusion that had concealed the treasury before her. And as the radiant light expanded, it unraveled the hidden defenses, dispelling the protective arrays and ancient runes that guarded the treasury. A magnificent marble edifice safeguarding the Guild's amassed wealth from potential intruders. With a graceful drift, Salisi and Evan floated into the treasury, their movements unhurried and deliberate. The golden cube they possessed held immense value for the Guardian Guild, as it contained precious drops of blood from all the Supreme Guardians, including Noah. This extraordinary artifact granted unparalleled access to the Guild's vast array of buildings, safe houses, and countless hidden treasures. Guided by the cube entrusted to her by Elara, who assumed leadership in the absence of a Supreme Guardian, Salisi ventured boldly into the treasury, scarcely concerned about the intricate security mechanisms in place. As Salisi and Evan stepped into the treasury, an imposing sight awaited them. A towering golden door flanked by two colossal metal soldiers, each standing 15 feet tall. These formidable guardians formed the final barrier before accessing the vault, wielding enchanted weapons capable of vanquishing even immortals. In the face of this awe-inspiring defense, Evan couldn't help but express his fear, his eyes betraying his apprehension. He turned to Salisi, seeking reassurance. "Are we really going through with this?" he asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty, his gaze fixed on the towering metal sentinels. Salisi remained composed, exuding a calm confidence that belied the danger that lay before them. "Don't worry," she replied, her voice steady. "As long as we possess this," Salisi raised the cube high, causing rays of light to emit from the metal guardian's eyes. The beams of light scanned the cube, as well as Salisi and Evan themselves. In response, the metal guardians raised their swords, clutching them against their chests, before forcefully plunging them into the ground. With a resounding impact, the runes adorning the golden door ignited, casting an ethereal glow. Slowly, the massive door began to creak open, unveiling the boundless wealth that lay within the vault. When the vault door swung open, a breathtaking sight unfolded before Salisi and Evan. The chamber was bathed in a mesmerizing glow emanating from the vast array of treasures within. It was a treasure trove beyond imagination, a cornucopia of wealth that seemed to stretch to infinity. A sea of golden coins, glinting with a mesmerizing brilliance, cascaded like waves upon the chamber's floor. Gems of all colors and sizes adorned ornate pedestals, casting dancing prisms of light that painted the walls with a kaleidoscope of hues. Ancient artifacts, intricately carved and pulsating with hidden power, stood proudly on display, their mystical energies palpable. Spell scrolls, their delicate parchment inscribed with arcane incantations, lined shelves alongside enigmatic books filled with forgotten knowledge. Weapons of legendary craftsmanship, their blades glimmering with an otherworldly sheen, exuded an aura of invincibility. Evan's eyes widened in disbelief, his jaw dropping at the sheer opulence that surrounded them. He stood frozen, awestruck by the wealth and power contained within the vault. The sight overwhelmed him, leaving him momentarily speechless. Meanwhile, Celici remained composed, her gaze sweeping across the treasures with a sense of familiarity. A sly smile graced her lips, hinting at secrets known only to her. She basked in the splendor, unaffected by the overwhelming magnitude of the wealth before her. The glimmering light cast enchanting reflections on her face, accentuating her confidence and a touch of mischief in her eyes. She possessed an understanding of the vault's secrets, a knowledge that imbued her with a calm assurance even amidst the staggering riches that surrounded them. "We can't simply allow the Dark Lord to claim all of this for himself," Celici declared firmly, her eyes focused on the vast wealth before them. "Though the Guardian Guild may face its demise, we mustn't let these treasures slip through our fingers. They can become the means for the Shadow Clan to grow stronger and eventually confront the Dark Lord." Evan hesitated, his inner conflict apparent in his voice. "It doesn't sit right with me, my lady," he confessed, his heart and mind wrestling with the notion of looting the Guardian Guild's treasury instead of standing united with the other Guardians against the Dark Lord. Deep down, he knew Xianxia's words held truth. Allowing the Dark Lord to seize these riches would only serve to bolster his power. Xianxia's expression softened, understanding Evan's moral dilemma. "Evan, strive to be good, but remember, sometimes the path to victory requires making difficult choices," she advised, her tone gentle yet resolute. She picked up a golden coin from the floor, the weight of her decision evident. "We can't be too idealistic in these dark times. We must adapt to the circumstances and use what resources we have wisely. It's for the greater cause." Evan nodded, his features reflecting a mix of uncertainty and resignation. He realized that in the face of impending destruction, preserving these treasures for a future battle against the Dark Lord was a pragmatic and necessary step. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but he understood the necessity of their actions. Together Celici and Evan would secure the guild's wealth, transforming it into a beacon of hope for a brighter future, even as the shadow of the Dark Lord loomed over them all. Chapter 969. The day before the final battle in the armory of the Guardian Guild, Alicia stood surrounded by an array of gleaming armors. Her fingers caressed the smooth surface of the silver armor bestowed upon her by Noah as a wedding gift. The armor exuded an ethereal aura, adorned with intricate runes that glowed softly, as if alive with ancient magic. A chilling mist swirled around the armor, enveloping Alicia in an icy embrace. With every piece she donned, Alicia felt a surge of power and purpose. The armor covered her from head to toe, its design both elegant and formidable. The helmet was crafted with precision, revealing only her face while concealing the sides, adding an air of mystery to her presence. The silver hue of the armor shimmered in the light, reflecting her determination and unwavering commitment to the Guardian Guild's cause. With Noah's absence and the imminent confrontation with the Dark Lord looming, Alicia embraced her role as the leader of the Guardian Guild. As Noah's wife, she felt compelled to step forward and guide the Guardians in the face of this dire threat. Donning her armor, Alicia carried the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, determined to honor her connection to Noah and protect the guild. As the elite team of Guardians, handpicked by Noah himself, witnessed Alicia preparing for battle, a surge of pride and courage coursed through their veins. They knew that Alicia's presence at the forefront would inspire them to fight with unwavering resolve. Each Guardian, with their own unique skills and unwavering loyalty, looked to Alicia as their beacon of hope and strength. Among them, Neela stepped forward, her gaze filled with concern. Recognizing the immense danger they faced, she approached Alicia and assisted in securing the armor, her hands deftly fastening the straps. "My lady, I beg you to consider what I've asked of you. Please, for the sake of your safety, leave this place," Neela pleaded, her voice filled with genuine concern. She couldn't bear the thought of losing Alicia, and the weight of disappointment they would carry in the eyes of Supreme Guardian Noah if something were to happen to her. Alicia looked at Neela. Her expression was resolute yet understanding. She gently shook her head, her determination unwavering. Neela, I am not facing the Dark Lord merely as a guardian captain. I am facing him as a Winston, as Noah's wife, Alicia explained firmly. The stripping of Noah's title as the Supreme Guardian held no weight in her heart. To her, Noah would always be the embodiment of that role. It was her duty as his wife to confront any threat that endangered the guild they both held dear. Neela, aware of Alicia's history with the Dark Lord, continued her plea, hoping to break through Alicia's resolve. My lady, I understand the pain and anger that resides within you. But we cannot allow those emotions to cloud our judgment. None of us can single-handedly stop the Dark Lord from destroying our guild. We all know the uphill battle we face. However, if you survive this, we will eventually prevail in this war against the Dark Lord. The Supreme Guardians need you more than us, my lady. Neela's words were heartfelt, carrying the weight of the guild's concerns. She reminded Alicia of the Dark Lord's despicable actions, recounting how he had humiliated her brother Peter during the battle tournament of Elon, reducing him to a mere mop for the floor. The Dark Lord had then exposed Peter as the vigilante, resulting in his house arrest by the Guardians. And finally, in a heart-wrenching moment, Alicia had witnessed the Dark Lord teleport Peter into the very cage where she had captured him, leading to Peter's tragic demise before her eyes. To add to the pain, Alicia's own family blamed her, believing that if she had let go of her hatred towards the Dark Lord, Peter might have been spared. The consequence was her family exiling her. As Neela spoke, Alicia listened intently, her emotions stirred. Memories of the pain and loss resurfaced, but Alicia's resolve remained unshaken. She knew the risk, the uncertainty that lay ahead. Yet, the fire within her burned brighter than ever, fueled by her determination to avenge her brother's tragic fate and protect her guild. With a calm but unwavering voice, Alicia responded to Neela's heartfelt plea. Neela, I understand your concerns, and I am grateful for your words. But my decision stands firm. I cannot let go of my duty to the guild and to my family, no matter the risks involved. The Dark Lord has taken enough from us, and it is time we stand up against his tyranny. If there's even a chance to bring justice and protect those we love, then I will face this battle head-on. Neela, feeling a sense of urgency, made one final attempt to convince Alicia to reconsider. Alicia, I implore you to think about what I'm saying. The Dark Lord is Noah's brother, which makes him your brother-in-law. We can't fight against our own family. Let us face the Dark Lord and his army while you find safety elsewhere. Alicia paused, her gaze meeting Neela's, her expression filled with determination. Neela, I understand the connection between the Dark Lord and my husband, but I refuse to let that sway my decision. The Dark Lord may share blood ties, but his actions have severed any bond of kinship. He is not anyone's family, not to me, not to Noah. He has chosen a path of darkness, and it is our duty to stand against him. Neela's shoulders slumped in resignation, realizing that Alicia's resolve was unyielding. I understand, Alicia. I see the strength and conviction in your eyes. Just promise me you'll stay safe and return to us. Alicia reached out and placed a reassuring hand on Neela's shoulder. I promise, Neela. I will do everything in my power to protect myself and return to you all. We are guardians, bound by our loyalty and our shared purpose. I will not bring shame to my husband or the guild by running away when the Dark Lord threatens us. Neela nodded, her eyes reflecting a mix of worry and admiration. May the gods be with you, Alicia. May your courage inspire us all. With a final embrace, Alicia and Neela parted ways, each filled with their own emotions. Alicia, now fully clad in her armor, made her way toward the gathering guardians. Her heart was heavy with the weight of responsibility, but her determination burned bright. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue upon the horizon, Alicia stood before her fellow guardians, ready to lead them into the approaching battle against the Dark Lord and his menacing army. The night grew darker, but Alicia's resolve remained unwavering. She would face the Dark Lord head-on, for her fallen brother, for her husband, and for the future of the Guardian Guild. The stage was set, the battle awaited, and Alicia, the symbol of unwavering strength, was prepared to write in their saga of light against darkness. As Alicia prepared to face the Dark Lord, Elara returned to Sales's hidden pocket dimension, where they gathered to plan their next moves. Elara took her seat at the round table, while Salisi and Evan greeted Neela with a nod. Evan couldn't hide his concern for the upcoming battle against the Dark Lord. What troubled him even more was Xianxia's strict order for him to stay away from the Guardian Guild tomorrow. Xianxia knew that if Evan confronted the Dark Lord, he would be extinguished in an instant. She valued Evan as a member of her shadow clan and wanted to protect him from such a fate. Curiosity sparked in Xianxia's eyes as she turned her attention to Elara. So, Elara, how did your meeting with the Council of Immortals and the leaders of the great clans go? Xianxia's smile revealed her amusement, as she already anticipated the outcome. Elara let out a frustrated sigh, her expression filled with a mix of annoyance and anger. It was a complete waste of time. Those imbeciles believe that the Dark Lord's only target is the Guardian Guild. They refuse to acknowledge that once the Dark Lord decimates the guild, the other 7 great clans will be next on his list for annihilation. It's infuriating to witness their sheer ignorance and lack of foresight. Elara's frustration reached a boiling point, and she couldn't help but vent her anger. If those clan leaders had an ounce of intelligence, they would realize the imminent threat and unite against the Dark Lord. Instead, their foolishness and stubbornness blind them to the danger at hand. I had to restrain myself from leaping out of my chair during the meeting and giving them a piece of my mind. The room fell silent, the weight of the impending battle hanging heavy in the air. Elara's frustration was shared by those gathered, each aware of the gravity of the situation. Evan's question hung heavy in the air, filled with a mix of frustration and desperation. What about the Council of Immortals? Will they simply stand by and allow the Dark Lord to wipe out the Guardian Guild? He implored. Elara's voice dripped with exasperation as she replied, her frustration barely contained. Those spineless cowards are no better than the clan leaders. At least they had the audacity to admit their inability to challenge the Dark Lord, rather than spewing feeble excuses, she exclaimed, her emotions raw and unfiltered. Deep down, however, Elara knew that the Council of Immortals had made a grim but realistic assessment. Xianxia interjected with a knowing tone, her words laced with a hint of satisfaction. They are not entirely mistaken, my dear, she remarked. The Dark Lord has ascended to the half-celestial stage. Even if every immortal within the council united in confronting him, victory would be an elusive dream, Xianxia stated, her voice betraying a mix of admiration for the Dark Lord's power and a hidden agenda. While she relished the thought of the immortals foolishly throwing themselves at the Dark Lord, becoming fodder for her own sinister plans, she understood their reluctance. The immortals were not as gullible as she wished. Elara nodded in reluctant agreement, her sigh a testament to the heaviness in her heart. Though she desperately clung to a glimmer of hope, the truth weighed heavily upon her. The impending doom of the Guardian Guild, once her beloved sanctuary, now loomed inescapably. Noah's absence had left them vulnerable, their resilience tested to the core. Xianxia inquired, though she already knew the futility of attempting to dissuade Alicia from her decision. Have you made any effort to dissuade Alicia from her perilous plan to face the Dark Lord? She asked, feigning concern while secretly delighting in the unfolding of her grand plan. Elara let out a heavy sigh, her voice tinged with resignation. We both know better than to try and reason with Alicia, she replied, the weight of their shared understanding palpable. Indeed, it is a pity, Xianxia responded, her words laced with false sympathy. However, her true feelings betrayed a twisted delight at the pieces of her grand design falling perfectly into place. But can we truly blame Alicia for her unwavering determination to confront the Dark Lord? After all, he has ruthlessly shattered everything that held meaning for that poor girl, Xianxia added, recalling the atrocities the Dark Lord had committed against Alicia. Deep within the recesses of Xianxia's dark heart, a twisted delight simmered as she heard the news of Alicia's impending battle against her own brother-in-law, the Dark Lord. Xianxia understood the deep-seated animosity between them, fueled by the unspeakable pain the Dark Lord had inflicted upon Alicia and her loved ones. She relished the anticipation, for she knew the Dark Lord's merciless nature all too well. Xianxia's cunning mind envisioned the aftermath of Alicia's tragic demise at the hands of the Dark Lord. She foresaw the inevitable wrath that would consume Noah, Alicia's husband and the former Supreme Guardian. Despite their shared blood, Xianxia knew that Noah's love for Alicia ran deeper than any familial bond. The news of her death would be a catalyst, shattering the tenuous connection he had once held with his treacherous brother. With calculated ruthlessness, Xianxia saw the path she had laid before her, like a macabre chessboard. Alicia's demise would serve as the catalyst, igniting the flames of a long-awaited war between the two brothers. It was a malevolent plan, meticulously crafted to exploit their familial ties, manipulating their emotions to orchestrate a battle that would rend the heavens asunder. As Salisi reveled in the darkness of her scheme, her eyes gleamed with a sinister satisfaction. She knew that Alicia's sacrifice would be the catalyst for the grand confrontation she had longed for, a clash of titanic forces that would shake the very foundations of their world. The anticipation coursed through her veins, fueling her wicked ambitions, as she eagerly awaited the tragic chain of events that would set brother against brother in a battle of unfathomable proportions. In the twisted tapestry of fate, the threads wove a cruel and heartbreaking tale for the two brothers, Michael and Noah, bound by blood yet torn asunder by destiny. Their paths diverged, leading them down contrasting roads that would inevitably intersect in a tragic collision. Michael, consumed by an all-consuming love for his wife Gaia, stood as a formidable guardian, willing to commit unspeakable acts to alter her fateful demise. He would willingly unleash devastation upon any who dared threaten her, forsaking the bonds of morality in a desperate attempt to rewrite her destiny. The depths of his devotion knew no bounds, his actions fueled by an insatiable desire to protect his beloved. Meanwhile, Noah, the other brother, faced the harrowing possibility of losing his own wife Alicia, in the clutches of his own brother. The intricate web of fate had entangled their lives in a macabre dance, where the relentless whims of destiny eclipsed familial ties and blood connections. The cruelty of their intertwined destinies was a bitter reminder that even the strongest bonds could be severed by the relentless hands of fate. The path laid before them was one of anguish and despair, where the choices they made and the actions they took would inevitably lead to a tragic confrontation. The very fabric of their existence seemed woven with an inherent cruelty, as the brothers found themselves caught in a web of love, loyalty, and the ultimate betrayal. Chapter 970. On the day of the final battle, new DBS chapter will be out tomorrow and the schedule will also be resumed. The long-awaited day of the battle against the formidable Guardian Guild had finally arrived. Despite the immense power and history held by this ancient guild, Michael remained surprisingly calm and even found amusement in the situation. A carefree whistle escaped his lips as he strolled out of the portal room, his confidence unshaken. Due to the tradition that prohibited him from seeing his bride, Gaia, until their wedding day, Michael couldn't help but sigh as he imagined the sheer beauty that would radiate from her when she adorned her wedding dress. With a sense of anticipation, he made his way to his temporary room, where his garments awaited him. As Michael made his way through the corridor, his robes were tarnished with dust and dirt from the ongoing process of forging his armor. He understood the importance of looking his best when facing the Guardian Guild, a moment he had been eagerly awaiting. It was during this walk that Azazel, his loyal demon butler, approached him from one of the rooms and respectfully greeted him. "My lord, Lord Saber is en route to the Lord Information. We can expect to receive information about rare metals within a day," Azazel informed, his voice filled with unwavering loyalty. "Excellent," Michael replied calmly, his focus unwavering. "I shall delve deeper into the properties of these metals and convey to Lord Saber the exact specifications required to complete my armor." While Michael could have easily completed his armor using ordinary metals, he held an unwavering desire for both his own and Gaia's armor to be extraordinary. To achieve this, he sought the finest metals available, ones that remained concealed from his knowledge until now. Deep down, he knew that the Lord Information possessed secret insights into the unique metals that existed within this world, knowledge that he yearned to acquire. As Michael proceeded, he inquired about the progress of the wedding preparations. "Brother Ghost." Suddenly, a playful and excited voice reverberated through the corridor, catching Michael's attention. A smile crept across his face as he recognized the voice. Turning around, he was met with the sight of Cindy emerging from seemingly nowhere. With uncontainable joy, she dashed towards Michael, enveloping him in a tight embrace. Jumping up, she clung to his waist, showering him with wet kisses on his cheek. Cindy had grown considerably since they last saw each other. No longer the little 7-year-old who could barely reach Michael's knee, she had blossomed into a charming young girl. Her height now reached his waist, and her growth in power was evident as she had achieved the core formation stage. Yet, despite these transformations, Cindy still retained her childlike demeanor in Michael's presence. Playfully, she clung to him like a peppering him with affectionate kisses and rubbing her cheek against his. "Oh, how much I've missed you!" Cindy exclaimed, elongating her words while maintaining her tight embrace. "I missed you too. I'm glad you've emerged from your seclusion," Michael replied warmly. Continuing their walk together, Cindy remained perched on his waist, a symbol of their unbreakable bond. "You know, Missy, you shouldn't act like a in front of everyone anymore. You're all grown up now, Michael gently chided, playfully pinching her nose. Yes, my little lady. Our lord has a reputation to uphold as the Dark Lord, Azazel chimed in, but Cindy simply responded by sticking her tongue out and making a funny face at him. Azazel, the lone and fearsome demon in the world, couldn't help but chuckle and sigh in amusement. To Cindy, no one could strike fear into her heart, not even the vampires. She had long become like Michael's adorable little sister, even before he ascended to the position of the Dark Lord. Even in the face of a world that trembled before the might of the Dark Lord and the Dark Queen, Cindy felt no fear. She continued to play and interact with them as she always had. Cindy's innocent, playful, and adorable nature endeared her to everyone in the Dark Army. However, her sweetness didn't define her entirely. Under the tutelage of Gaia, the Dark Queen herself, and Eve Voldegard, Cindy received rigorous training in combat arts. Saber and Trista took charge of teaching her blood spells, while Eladir instructed her in the mystical arts of runes. Despite her tender age, Cindy understood the harsh realities of the world, and she dedicated herself wholeheartedly to her training. Michael, as much as he adored Cindy, didn't want to shield her from the brutalities of the outside world. Instead, he was determined to prepare her to face it head-on and stand beside him as a ruler. Even though Cindy wasn't a prodigy when she was born, Michael spared no expense or effort in cultivating her potential and transforming her into a formidable force. He may be the Dark Lord to others, but not to me, Uncle Azazel, Cindy replied, her tone filled with playful defiance. Oh, so you think him not a bad person, huh? Michael teased, a mischievous glint in his eyes. Cindy, in response, playfully rolled her eyes, emphasizing her disbelief. Well, brother, if any butthole dares to call you evil in front of me, they can come eat my knuckle sandwich. Cindy clenched her small fist and demonstrated a mock punch in the air, evoking laughter from both Michael and Azazel. I feel so protected, Michael chuckled, reaching out to ruffle Cindy's hair, much to her protest. Lost in their light-hearted banter, Michael momentarily forgot about the impending war with the Guardian Guild and stepped outside the castle. As they walked, Cindy excitedly shared a funny story with Michael, recounting how she had defeated a group of vampires. Cindy's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm as she began her tale. Oh, brother, you won't believe what happened. So, I was training against a group of vampires. At first, I was a bit scared, because they're all fast and strong and have those sharp fangs. But then I thought, hey, I'm Cindy, the Dark Lord's cute little sister, Michael chuckled, encouraging her to continue. Cindy grinned and continued. So I stood there, facing those vampires with all my might. I shouted, prepare to be defeated, you blood-sucking creatures. And guess what? They actually listened to me. I mean, who knew vampires had a sense of humor? Michael couldn't help but laugh at Cindy's adventurous spirit. And then, Cindy continued, her eyes gleaming with excitement, I unleashed my secret weapon, the tickle attack. I tickled them with all my might, and those vampires started squirming and giggling like crazy. They couldn't even fight back because they were too busy trying to catch their breath. Michael burst into laughter, imagining the comical sight. And that's how I defeated the vampires, brother. Cindy concluded proudly, striking a triumphant pose. Michael clapped his hands, thoroughly entertained. Bravo, my little warrior. You always find a way to surprise me. Michael stood at the edge of the floating mountain, his gaze fixed on the dark ocean swirling with multiple tornadoes. After bidding farewell to Azazel, Cindy approached him and handed him a mysterious letter. What's this? Michael asked, curiosity piqued. I'm not sure. Aunt Adelia asked me to give it to you once I emerged from seclusion, Cindy replied, her eyes brimming with curiosity. As Michael opened the envelope, he discovered a small palm-sized black scale nestled within, accompanied by a letter. Unfolding the letter, he read Adelia's words carefully. My lord, if you're reading this, it means I haven't returned to the castle, and you're likely searching for me. I can't disclose everything in this letter, but I have provided a secret ritual on the back that can help trace my location using this scale. Please send Azazel, and only Azazel, to me. I will explain everything upon my return. I wonder where she vanished to, Cindy inquired, her eyes filled with curiosity, as Michael carefully folded the letter and returned it to her. Cindy, I want you to take this letter to Uncle Eladir. He will know what to do. And once you've given him the letter, go and inform Gaia that her mother is safe and will be returning soon, Michael instructed, gently lowering Cindy back to the ground. Alrighty then, Cindy responded, placing a hand over her heart and assuming a playful, loyal soldier stance. Michael chuckled and planted a tender kiss on her back before she set off on her mission to deliver the letter to Eladir. As Cindy disappeared from Michael's sight, his enchanting smile dissolved, replaced by a cold and ruthless expression. With a swift motion, he vanished from the edge of the mountain, leaving behind a trail of lightning in his wake. In an instant, he materialized in his temporary room, where all his belongings had been relocated in preparation for his impending wedding. Before him stood a meticulously arranged wardrobe filled with an array of dark attire. Without hesitation, Michael reached for a long coat, a sleek black turtleneck, and a pair of matching trousers. With a swift flick of his wrist, he discarded his previous garments, cleansing himself with arcane energy before adorning his new attire. The transformation was complete. Next, Michael donned his fingerless gloves, the symbols of his power and prowess. He secured his formidable dark swords upon his back, their menacing presence a clear warning to any who dared to cross his path. Slipping into the long coat, he fastened it with purpose, each button a reminder of his indomitable will. Finally, he laced up his shoes, ensuring every detail of his formidable ensemble was in place. In this attire, Michael exuded an aura of sheer strength and determination, ready to confront the formidable challenge that awaited him, the Guardian Guild. In the tranquil Hulwick Isle, a sense of anticipation hung in the air as the Guardians prepared for the imminent arrival of the Dark Lord and his formidable army. The vast expanse of the sea surrounding the island was meticulously patrolled by vigilant guardians, their watchful presence ensuring the safety of their home. Above, the skies were adorned with the majestic airships of the Guardian Guild, standing as a testament to their strength and unity. Yet, despite the Guardian's stern instructions to the contrary, a multitude of onlookers had gathered in the skies, hovering at a safe distance from the isle. These curious spectators, numbering in the thousands, yearned for a glimpse of the impending clash between the Dark Lord and the Guardian Guild, ignoring the Guild's firm reminder that this was not a mere spectacle but a harrowing war. Yet, their fascination with the unfolding events outweighed their concern for their own safety. Undeterred by the Guild's warnings, the onlookers remained steadfast in their desire to witness the clash of these colossal forces. However, they were not foolhardy, recognizing the inherent danger. Each individual maintained a safe distance, equipped with an array of gadgets and protective spells to shield themselves from the catastrophic shockwaves that would undoubtedly be unleashed. Among the spectators, even the esteemed Empress of Aur graced the scene, accompanied by a gathering of kings and queens. The magnitude of this momentous event was not lost on them, for it was a rare occurrence to witness such a formidable war between the Dark Lord and his imposing army pitted against the Guardian Guild. Hearts raced with anticipation as the stage was set for a monumental clash that would leave an indelible mark on history. The group of rogue cultivators and news reporters floated in the sky, a safe distance from the Hulwick Island, their faces etched with fear and anticipation. The air was tense, heavy with the weight of an imminent war between the Dark Lord and the Guardian Guild. Their voices carried a sense of urgency and concern as they engaged in a somber discussion. One of the older cultivators, his eyes filled with worry, broke the silence. Do you think there's any chance for peace talks between the Dark Lord and the Guardian Guild? Is it possible to avoid this destructive war? A younger cultivator, his brow furrowed, replied, I'm not sure. The Dark Lord has shown little inclination towards diplomacy in the past. He has always relied on his formidable power and relentless pursuit of his goals. A news reporter chimed in, his voice filled with apprehension. But what if the Dark Lord emerges victorious? Will he show any mercy to the Guardian Guild, especially considering his brother was the previous Supreme Guardian? The group fell into a contemplative silence, their gazes fixed on the distant Hulwick Island. It was a moment of reflection, where the weight of family ties and the potential consequences of the war were considered. Another cultivator, his voice tinged with uncertainty, spoke up. We can't predict the Dark Lord's actions. His true nature is shrouded in darkness, and he has always been an enigma. But knowing their shared bloodline, perhaps there is a glimmer of hope for a resolution. The news reporters quickly jotted down the conversation, capturing the conflicting emotions and the fragile thread of hope that lingered in the air. A seasoned cultivator, his voice steady yet filled with doubt, added, Even if the Dark Lord is victorious, will he spare the Guardian Guild out of familial bond? Or will he use this as an opportunity to consolidate his power and eliminate any potential threats? The discussions continued, the cultivators and reporters wrestling with their fears and grappling with the unknown. The sky above the Hulwick Island remained ominous, mirroring the uncertainty that permeated the conversation. As the dialogue progressed, hope and despair intertwined, their voices echoing through the air. The rogue cultivators and news reporters floated in the sky, their shared trepidation binding them together, united in their quest for understanding amidst the impending storm. Unbeknownst to them, the Guardians stood resolute, fully aware of the gravity of the situation. Their steadfast determination mirrored the unwavering waves beneath them, ready to face the imminent threat with unwavering resolve. The stage was set, the world poised to witness a battle that would shape the destiny of both the Guardians and the Dark Lord. Chapter 971. Michael vs. Alicia. As the minutes ticked away, the sun embarked on its journey toward the horizon, casting a golden glow over the land. The Hulwick Island, shrouded in darkness, exuded an air of foreboding that sent shivers down the spines of the onlookers. Fear clung to them like a heavy cloak, their hearts pounding with trepidation. Amidst the onlookers, the Guardians stood tall and resolute, their unwavering loyalty to the Guardian Guild eclipsing their own fears. Those who had harbored doubts about facing the Dark Lord had fled, leaving behind a steadfast core of Guardians ready to defend their cause. As twilight descended upon the Azure continent, the Guardians on the airship sprang into action. They brought forth massive crystals infused with potent magic and activated the ancient runes etched upon them. Like radiant beacons, these crystals emitted a brilliant light that pierced through the encroaching darkness, illuminating the entire island. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation, drawing thousands of cultivators to gather at a safe distance, both in the skies and on the ground. Their eyes were fixed on the Hulwick Island, hearts pounding with a mixture of fear, curiosity, and a thirst for witnessing history unfold. The scene was a tapestry of contrasting emotions, the onlookers, caught in a web of anxiety, and the Guardians, standing as beacons of courage and dedication. The crystal's enchanting glow painted the island in a surreal brilliance, creating an ethereal spectacle that intensified the weight of the impending clash. On the vast expanse of the Hulwick Island, the Guardians stood in solemn formations, their silver armor gleaming under the radiant crystal light. 700 brave souls, resolute and prepared for the impending battle that would soon unfold. Led by Alicia, with unwavering determination etched upon her face, they stood united as a formidable force. At the forefront of the Guardians, Alicia stood tall, her gaze fixed upon the distant horizon. The weight of responsibility rested upon her shoulders, and she felt the collective anticipation emanating from her comrades behind her. With each passing moment, the air grew heavy with a sense of impending doom, the tension palpable. Alicia's eyes, sharp and focused, scanned the horizon. She knew that at any second, the Dark Lord and his army could descend upon them. Her heart pounded in her chest, a rhythmic reminder of the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The wind whispered through her silver armor, as if echoing the restless murmurs of the Guardians around her. Her grip tightened around the hilt of her sword, a symbol of her unwavering resolve. Alicia was determined to defend the Guardian Guild, protect her comrades, and uphold the honor entrusted to her. She had trained relentlessly, honing her skills and harnessing her inner strength for this very moment. As the sun bid its final farewell, the once serene sky transformed into a canvas of foreboding storm clouds on the distant horizon. A sight that sent a shiver down the spines of the onlookers, as whispers of fear escaped their lips. The clouds crackled with flashes of crimson lightning, casting an eerie glow that danced across the darkened heavens. With an alarming speed, the tempestuous clouds surged towards the Hulwick Isle, causing the very sea above to tremble in response. Powerful waves rose and crashed against the shoreline, their tumultuous roars echoing through the air. The atmosphere grew heavy with a sense of impending doom, as if nature itself recognized the arrival of a formidable force. The onlookers, their gazes fixated upon the encroaching storm, felt a chill creep down their spines. Unspoken words carried on the wind, and the name the Dark Lord reverberated in hushed tones. A name that struck fear into the hearts of those who had heard tales of his power and ruthlessness. In the face of this ominous spectacle, uncertainty and trepidation permeated the air. The storm clouds, a harbinger of the Dark Lord's imminent arrival, served as a stark reminder of the impending clash between the forces of light and darkness. The time for talk and speculation had passed. It was now a moment to brace themselves for the storm that was about to descend upon the Hulwick Isle. As the storm clouds drew closer, the atmosphere thickened with anxiety and fear. The onlookers huddled together, their voices trembling with uncertainty and anticipation. "I can't believe it's really happening," whispered one rogue cultivator, his eyes wide with dread. The Dark Lord is coming. We're about to witness a war like no other. Do you think there's any hope for the Guardian Guild? A news reporter asked, her voice laced with concern. Can they withstand the might of the Dark Lord and his forces? A cultivator, his face etched with worry, shook his head. I'm not sure. The Dark Lord has conquered every obstacle in his path. It feels like nothing can stop him. But what about the previous Supreme Guardian? They were siblings, right? A young cultivator inquired, his voice quivering. Wouldn't the Dark Lord show mercy to his own flesh and blood? It's hard to say, replied an elder cultivator. His voice filled with a mix of resignation and determination. All we can do is pray for the strength and resilience of the Guardian Guild. They have trained for this moment, and they will fight with everything they have. The Guardians swiftly formed their defensive positions, organizing themselves with precision and discipline. Warships on the sea and airships in the sky adjusted their formations, ready to protect the island. Meanwhile, Alicia gracefully soared into the air, her departure leaving a powerful shockwave resonating through the ground. She positioned herself in the sky, ready to face the Dark Lord directly. As the storm clouds dispersed, a hushed silence fell upon the scene. To the astonishment of everyone present, there stood Michael, alone and composed, suspended in the sky. Contrary to their expectations, there was no army accompanying him. He exuded an air of confidence, a calm smile playing upon his lips. His long black coat billowed in the wind, and his black sunglass concealed his true emotions, leaving onlookers guessing. The Guardian Guild's army watched in disbelief, their gazes locked on the enigmatic figure before them. They had braced themselves for a full-scale war, expecting a vast army to oppose them. Yet, there stood the Dark Lord, seemingly unperturbed by the lack of reinforcements. It was a perplexing sight that sent a ripple of uncertainty through their ranks. Whispers of confusion and disbelief spread among the Guardians and the onlookers. They questioned the reason behind the Dark Lord's solitary appearance. Was this a calculated move? Or had something unexpected occurred? As they sought answers, tension hung heavy in the air, a palpable energy that heightened their anticipation. Michael, unfazed by the gazes fixed upon him, continued to wear his enigmatic smile. His presence alone held a powerful aura, casting a shadow of uncertainty over the Guardian Guild. Michael's gaze locked with Alicius, their eyes meeting amidst the tense atmosphere. With a casual gesture, he cracked his neck and flexed his knuckles, projecting an air of nonchalance. Alicia, her voice amplified by the prevailing silence, accused him with contempt. "What do you intend, you murderer? Where is your army?" Her words reverberated across the field, capturing the attention of all present. Yet, Michael's response was a mere chuckle, unfazed by her accusations. "An army is unnecessary to deal with your puny guild. I have a personal debt to settle with your organization, and I intend to do so with my own hands," he retorted, casting a fleeting glance at the amassed Guardian Guild forces. In the face of 700 guardians, numerous warships dotting the sea, and a myriad of airships in the sky, accompanied by formidable cultivators and weapons, Michael exhibited no signs of trepidation. Instead, it was the Guardians themselves who began to quiver at the sight of his half-celestial stage cultivation. Their loyalty and bravery wavered as they came face to face with the notorious Dark Lord. "What did you do with Noah? Where is he?" Alicia's unexpected question caught Michael off guard. It was evident that she believed he held some responsibility for Noah's disappearance following the Nagaland War. Yet, as always, Alicia's assumptions were misguided. While it was true that Michael had dispatched his minions to search for Noah, he had no involvement in the Guardian Guild leader's vanishing act. In truth, Michael himself wondered about Noah's whereabouts. However, now was not the time for discussions about Noah. His purpose here was to eradicate the Guardian Guild from existence, to leave no trace of their presence in this world. "I couldn't care less about your husband," Michael scoffed, his voice laced with disdain. He took pleasure in taunting Alicia, knowing it would provoke a reaction. "But perhaps you should feel grateful. If he's still alive, he might attempt to rescue his beloved guild," Michael sneered, a wicked smirk playing on his lips. The mention of Alicia's husband struck a nerve, causing her to clench her fists tightly. "And if your husband didn't hold such an unwavering devotion to his guild, I have no doubt he would come running to protect you. His cherished wife," Michael added, his words dripping with sarcasm. "Normally, I wouldn't even consider this, but since you appear so weak and feeble, I'll offer you a chance to flee, Michael taunted, gesturing for Alicia to escape. He knew deep down that she would never take him up on his offer. Alicia let out a mocking snicker in response to Michael's offer. I am Alicia Winston, and Winstons don't run, she retorted, her voice filled with determination. Michael couldn't help but chuckle at her response. Yes, Winstons are stupid, Michael laughed, his amusement evident. However, Alicia quickly found a retort that struck a nerve. And you by birth are also a Winston, Alicia snickered, her words laced with a hint of satisfaction. A momentary flicker of anger flashed in Michael's eyes, hidden behind his dark sunglasses. Yet, he swiftly regained his composure. He was the master of control, never allowing his emotions to get the best of him. Fortunately for me, I was abandoned, Michael calmly replied. Otherwise, I might have become a mindless puppet under the control of Sky Hall and the Guardian Guild. He spoke with a touch of bitterness, revealing a glimpse into his past and the complex dynamics that shaped his journey. Alicia's voice trembled with anger as she retorted, At least we didn't become deranged mass-murdering psychopaths like you. The memories of what Michael had done to her brother and the countless lives he had mercilessly taken in Wuxia and Nagaland fueled Alicia's intense hatred toward him. Despite the fact that Michael was Noah's brother, there was not an ounce of love or compassion for him in Alicia's heart. Ah, the typical facade of righteousness, Michael responded, his tone laced with sarcasm. He saw through Alicia's motives clearly. You may deceive others with your leadership in this war, but you can't fool me. Your true intention is to avenge your brother. The lives I've taken mean nothing to you. You're simply using these people in the hope of getting your revenge against me. If you truly cared about their lives, you would have urged them to abandon the guild and flee. Michael gestured toward the army of guardians standing before him, emphasizing Alicia's true intentions. But no, you want to cling to a small glimmer of hope that you can defeat me with their help. Well, hey, race an offer for you. Since you despise me so much and claim to value lives, I'll reduce my cultivation to match your fusion stage. I'll even fight you with my eyes closed and one hand behind my back. If you manage to make me bleed even a single drop of blood, I will spare the Guardian Guild and everyone here. The onlookers were taken aback by Michael's unexpected proposition, their astonishment evident on their faces. He continued to shock them with his unconventional offer, challenging Alicia directly. Michael noticed the flicker of temptation in Alicia's eyes as he presented his offer. He locked his gaze with hers, urging her to consider the gravity of the situation. Come now, Lady Winston. Cast aside your pride for a moment and truly see the lives at stake here, Michael implored, his voice filled with a hint of persuasion. He gestured towards the surrounding people, emphasizing their youth and the potential they held. They have dreams to fulfill, futures ahead of them. Are you willing to let your stubbornness cloud your judgment and let them perish? Deep down, we both know that this is your sole opportunity to save all these lives. His words hung in the air, carrying a weight of truth. The onlookers watched in anticipation, fully aware that this moment held the fate of many. Alicia's eyes flickered with a mix of determination and conflict as she contemplated Michael's offer, the choice before her growing increasingly clear. If you're still unsure about my offer, allow me to give you a glimpse of the force you'll be facing, Michael stated, his smile fading from his face. As he spoke, a sense of darkness pervaded the surroundings, casting an eerie shadow over the area. Suddenly, one of the massive crystals, previously used to illuminate the island, shattered into pieces without any visible cause. The guardians and onlookers stood frozen in shock, witnessing the display of Michael's power. With a slight adjustment of his sunglasses, Michael unleashed two menacing beams from his eyes. The dark beams pierced through the floating warship in the distance, effortlessly slicing it in half. Even the powerful shield generated by intricate arrays failed to protect the vessel. The severed halves tumbled from the sky, crashing into the sea below and erupting in a fiery explosion. The onlookers gasped in disbelief at the sheer destructive force unleashed by Michael. The realization of his immense power settled upon them like a heavyweight. It was a clear demonstration that challenging him would be a formidable task. I accept, Alicia quickly responded, determined to prevent further loss of life. Michael smiled and removed his sunglasses, placing them around his neck. With a raised hand, he caused a momentary jolt among the army of guardians, causing them to tense, thinking he was about to unleash an attack. However, Michael's amusement was evident as a piece of cloth gracefully flew into his grasp from the island. Deliberately, he tied the cloth securely over his eyes, obscuring his vision. With a swift motion of his wrist, he summoned his legendary weapon, the Doombringer, from his spatial ring. The imposing warhammer possessed a unique design, featuring one blunt head and one pointed head. Engraved with ancient runes and infused with an ice core of immense power, the Doombringer granted Michael the ability to summon intense frost at will. Its black surface gleamed ominously under the moonlight. As he positioned his hand behind his back, Michael's cultivation gradually diminished from the half-celestial stage to the fusion stage. However, this decision was not an act of recklessness or foolishness on his part. With a thorough scan of his surroundings, he ensured there were no unexpected surprises awaiting him during the impending duel. Moreover, his loyal minions stood watch from a safe distance, ensuring no interference would disrupt the battle he was about to engage in. Michael carried out these actions not out of arrogance but to demonstrate the stark contrast between his power and Alicia's perceived strength. By covering his eyes and restricting his dominant hand, he aimed to highlight how feeble Alicia's hopes of seeking revenge truly were. It was a calculated move to expose her vulnerability and emphasize the vast power differential between them. This display was intended to make Alicia realize the futility of her efforts and the impossibility of overcoming Michael's might. "Let's begin," Michael declared. His voice resonated with a calm confidence that sent shivers down the spines of the onlookers. With those simple words, the air crackled with anticipation, and the stage was set for an intense showdown between the Dark Lord and Alicia, who longed to avenge her brother and end Michael's life for years. The atmosphere grew heavy with suspense as everyone held their breath, knowing that the clash between these two formidable warriors would decide the fate of countless lives. Chapter 972. Michael vs. Alicia. Alicia's sword glinted in the crystal light as she lunged forward, her eyes focused and determination etched on her face. With a swift, fluid motion, she aimed a powerful strike toward Michael's chest. But to her astonishment, Michael effortlessly sidestepped the attack, his blindfolded eyes seemingly seeing every move. As Alicia's sword sliced through the air, Michael smoothly evaded each subsequent slash with a series of agile movements. His body seemed to flow with the rhythm of the battle, his reflexes honed to perfection. With remarkable precision, he relied on his heightened senses and intuition to predict Alicia's every move. Using only his legs, Michael executed acrobatic flips and twists, avoiding Alicia's strikes with an ethereal grace. He moved with such fluidity that it appeared as if he were dancing in mid-air. Alicia's frustration grew as her attacks were effortlessly evaded, unable to land a single blow on her elusive opponent. In one particular moment, as Alicia aimed a diagonal slash towards Michael's exposed flank, he swiftly twisted his body, dodging the attack with a hair's breadth. In that split second, he countered with a lightning-fast kick, propelling himself backward and catching Alicia off guard. His foot connected with her abdomen, launching her backward through the air. Undeterred, Alicia quickly regained her composure and resumed her assault. She unleashed a flurry of rapid strikes, her sword a blur in the night sky. Yet, no matter how relentless her onslaught, Michael's evasion remained flawless. With every step, twist and turn, he seemed to anticipate her moves, leaving her sword to slice through empty air. Michael's agility was matched only by his extraordinary speed. At one moment, as Alicia attempted a surprise attack from above, he smoothly flipped backward, his body arcing in a seamless motion. In mid-air, he extended his leg and delivered a powerful kick directly to Alicia's chest, sending her hurtling downwards. The aerial duel continued, the clash of wills and skills playing out in the vast expanse of the sky. Michael's movements were a captivating display of grace and mastery, each evasion and counterattack executed with precision and finesse. Despite the blindfold obscuring his vision and the handicap of using only one hand and his legs, he seemed to possess an otherworldly awareness, effortlessly outmaneuvering Alicia at every turn. The battle raged on, the sky serving as the backdrop for this extraordinary display of combat prowess. Each move, each evasion, and each counterattack showcased Michael's dominance over his opponent, leaving no doubt as to the vast gap in their skills. As the clash continued, the outcome of this epic confrontation hung in the balance, the fate of the Guardian Guild itself resting on the outcome of this fateful battle in the heavens. As Alicia realized that her sword strikes were proving ineffective, she decided to switch tactics. Channeling her magical energy, she summoned a chilling breeze around her, creating an aura of frost. With a determined expression, she cast a spell, sending shards of ice hurtling toward Michael. But Michael was ready. With a flick of his wrist, He tossed his Doombringer high into the air, allowing it to spin gracefully. In that brief moment, he swiftly summoned his black shield with his free hand, the shield retracting on his forearm in a blink of an eye. As the shards of ice approached, Michael expertly maneuvered the shield, blocking and deflecting each projectile effortlessly. He taunted Alicia with a sly smile, his voice carrying through the wind. "Is that the best you can do, Alicia? Casting your frosty spells, hoping for a lucky hit? I must say, your attempts are rather feeble. I expected more from the mighty Alicia Winston." With a swift motion, Michael caught his Doombringer as it descended from above. He twirled the warhammer in his hand, the runes etched upon it shimmering ominously. "You couldn't even land a single hit on me, blindfolded and fighting with one hand. It's truly a pitiful sight." Alicia gritted her teeth, her determination intensifying. She unleashed a torrent of icy projectiles, hoping to overwhelm Michael's defenses. But each time, he blocked her spells with precise timing and graceful movements. His black shield seemed impenetrable, absorbing the impact of the ice shards without faltering. With every blocked spell, Michael continued to taunt Alicia. "Is this all you've got, Alicia? I expected a more formidable challenge. Perhaps you should consider giving up and saving yourself the embarrassment." His mocking words echoed through the air, fueling Alicia's determination even further. She refused to be discouraged by his taunts, pushing her magical abilities to the limit. Yet, no matter how relentless her assault became, Michael's defenses remained unyielding. The fight continued in a mesmerizing display of skill and defiance. Michael effortlessly deflected Alicia's frosty spells, his movements fluid and stylish. He danced with his shield and his Doombringer, a symphony of agility and power. Each block, each parry, was executed with finesse and precision, mocking Alicia's attempts at victory. As Alicia unleashed a flurry of spells, Michael deftly blocked and evaded each one with his black shield, his movements seamless and precise. With his blindfold still in place, he relied on his heightened senses and instinct to anticipate Alicia's attacks. In between deflecting spells, Michael closed the distance between them with lightning speed. He unleashed a series of swift kicks, aiming for vulnerable points. His strikes were accurate and powerful, sending shockwaves through the air. Alicia tried her best to evade, but Michael's agility and speed made it nearly impossible. Occasionally, Michael would incorporate his Doombringer into his attacks, swinging it with tremendous force. Each strike was calculated and devastating, making Alicia's defenses crumble. The sheer impact of his blows sent her flying backward, her body spinning uncontrollably through the sky. With a final forceful kick, Michael sent Alicia hurtling toward the hovering warships. She crashed onto one of the vessels, her body skidding across its surface. The impact was fierce, leaving her gasping for breath and coughing up blood. Michael hovered in the air, a sinister smirk spreading across his face. "Is that all you have, Alicia? Your feeble attempts are nothing compared to my power. You are outmatched and outclassed." He slowly descended towards Alicia's location, his Doombringer hanging loosely by his side. The wind whispered around them, carrying his mocking words. "You thought you could avenge your brother? You thought you could defeat me? How pathetic." Alicia struggled to rise, her body bruised and battered. She glared up at Michael, defiance flickering in her eyes. Despite the pain, she summoned the last vestiges of her strength. "I won't give up. I will make you pay." Michael's laughter echoed through the air, a chilling sound that sent shivers down Alicia's spine. "Oh, Alicia, your determination is admirable. But it's futile. This battle is already decided. You cannot defeat me." With Alicia struggling to regain her footing, Michael seized the opportunity to unleash a relentless assault. He no longer held back, his every move executed with lethal precision. The blindfold that covered his eyes seemed inconsequential as he effortlessly anticipated Alicia's feeble attempts to defend herself. His movements were a blur as he closed in on her, striking with lightning speed. A barrage of punches and kicks rained down upon Alicia, each blow infused with a chilling aura. She could barely react as the force of his attacks sent her reeling, her body battered and bruised. Michael's strikes were relentless, his ferocity unmatched. He seemed to possess an otherworldly grace as he weaved through the air, striking with calculated accuracy. His Doombringer, momentarily forgotten, hung silently by his side, as his bare hands proved to be more than sufficient. No longer mocking, Michael's voice turned cold and menacing. "Did you really think you stood a chance against me, Alicia? You're nothing more than an annoyance." Each blow from Michael sent Alicia spiraling further into despair. She gasped for air, pain coursing through her body with every movement. Desperation fueled her resolve as she tried desperately to muster a counterattack, but her efforts were in vain. Michael's onslaught continued unabated, leaving her defenseless. As Alicia's strength waned, Michael's sadistic laughter filled the air. "Pathetic. You cannot defeat me. Your struggle only makes me laugh." His voice dripped with a cruel satisfaction, relishing in the torment he inflicted upon her. With one final devastating strike, Michael sent Alicia hurtling backward, her body crashing into the remnants of a shattered warship. The impact reverberated through the air, leaving Alicia motionless and battered, her will to fight shattered. Michael hovered above her, a triumphant smirk etched upon his face. "This is your fate, Alicia Winston. Remember it as the price you pay for standing against me." The battlefield fell silent, save for Alicia's labored breaths. The Dark Lord had proven his dominance, leaving Alicia and the Guardian Guild in a state of helplessness. As Alicia summoned the last remnants of her strength, a flicker of desperation gleamed in her eyes. With a resolute determination, she channeled her life force into a forbidden spell, a powerful surge of frost gathering in her outstretched hands. The temperature plummeted as the air around her crackled with raw energy. But Michael only snickered in response, his amusement apparent. He raised his Doombringer, the ancient ice core within resonating with his command. In an instant, a formidable stream of frost surged forth, meeting Alicia's spell head-on. The clash was cataclysmic, a clash of elemental powers that chilled everything around them. The streams of frost clashed in the middle of the sky, creating a swirling vortex of icy energy. The intense cold permeated the air, causing even the bravest warriors to shiver. Alicia strained against the overwhelming force, her spell beginning to falter under the weight of Michael's power. With each passing moment, Michael's frost gained ground, inching closer to Alicia. The power within his attack overwhelmed her, extinguishing her desperate attempt to turn the tide. His mastery over ice and cold proved to be far superior, leaving Alicia defenseless against his relentless onslaught. Alicia's expression twisted with a mixture of determination and despair as she fought to hold back Michael's frost. The strain was evident in her weary eyes, her life force depleting with every passing second. Yet, she refused to yield, clinging to the faint hope that she could somehow emerge victorious. But Michael's grin widened, his eyes glinting with a mixture of malice and satisfaction. He relished in her futile struggle, knowing that her efforts were in vain. The power of his frost grew stronger, a relentless force that overwhelmed Alicia's fading spell. As Michael's frost inched closer, Alicia's resistance waned. Her spell faltered, weakened by the sheer magnitude of Michael's power. The frost enveloped her, freezing her movements, draining her life force with each passing second. In a final display of dominance, Michael's frost consumed Alicia completely, encasing her in a crystalline prison. Her body stood frozen, a monument to her valiant yet futile resistance. Michael descended slowly, his eyes fixed upon the frozen figure before him. The guardians and onlookers stood in stunned silence, their eyes wide with disbelief. They had witnessed the battle unfold before them, their hopes dwindling with each passing moment. Despite Alicia's unwavering determination, it became painfully apparent that she couldn't land a single hit on the Dark Lord, even with his blindfolded eyes and one hand behind his back. Whispers of disbelief rippled through the crowd as they struggled to comprehend the magnitude of Michael's power. They had known he was formidable, but to witness his effortless evasion and domination over Alicia, their esteemed leader, left them shaken to the core. The reality of their situation began to sink in, overshadowing their earlier courage and resolve. The onlookers exchanged glances, their faces etched with a mix of fear and awe. They had placed their faith in Alicia, hoping that she would be the one to stand against the Dark Lord and lead them to victory. But now, their hopes were shattered, replaced by a grim understanding of the immense gap in power between them. Whispers turned into hushed murmurs as they struggled to comprehend the extent of Michael's skill. How could someone fight with such finesse, with such mastery over their own body and the battlefield? The Guardians questioned their own abilities, their own worth in the face of such overwhelming superiority. All eyes were fixated on the Dark Lord, Michael, and Alicia, who was trapped within the crystalline prison. The onlookers held their breath, unsure of what would unfold next. They were aware of the deep-seated animosity between Michael and Alicia, yet they couldn't help but wonder how this complicated dynamic would play out. Despite their shared history and the enmity between them, Alicia was Noah's wife, which made Alicia the Dark Lord's sister-in-law, and that fact added an unexpected layer of uncertainty to the situation. The crowd was left to speculate about the Dark Lord's intentions. Would he strike down Alicia with ruthless indifference, disregarding the connection? Or would some remnant of compassion and familial bond sway his actions? Chapter 973. Alicia's Death. I have released new DBS and AHSS chapters. Enjoy the chapters. While Alicia's body remained trapped within the crystal, the Alpha Guardians sprang into action, determined to rescue her from her crystalline prison. With urgency in their eyes, they ascended to the sky, their hearts filled with hope and determination. As Michael, the Dark Lord, loomed above them, a chilling silence fell over the battlefield. His towering presence exuded a sense of power and menace, sending a shiver down the spines of those who dared to challenge him. With a swift and commanding motion, Michael raised his mighty Doombringer, a weapon of devastating power. Its ominous aura filled the air, a foreboding sign of the imminent danger that awaited. A collective gasp escaped the lips of the Alpha Guardians as they witnessed the impending strike. Their hearts pounded in their chests, knowing that time was running out to save their fallen comrade. Michael removed the blindfold and threw the piece of cloth down. Then, in a swift, decisive motion, Michael swung his Doombringer toward the crystal that confined Alicia. The impact echoed through the air, causing the fragile structure to shatter into countless shards that glittered like stars. As the crystal shattered, a tragic sight unfolded before the eyes of the Alpha Guardians. Some of the crystal fragments were stained with a deep crimson hue, Alicia's blood mingling with the broken pieces. The sight was a painful reminder of the sacrifice and the life that had been abruptly taken away. The Alpha Guardians stood frozen for a moment, their hearts heavy with grief and disbelief. The loss of their esteemed ally left an indelible mark on their souls, a reminder of the brutal reality of their world. The unfolding scene sent shockwaves through the witnesses and the Guardians, shaking them to their very core. Some among them held a glimmer of hope, believing that Alicia's connection to Noah, the Dark Lord's brother, might invoke a flicker of mercy from Michael. They thought that familial ties could soften his heart and spare Alicia's life. However, contrary to their expectations, Michael coldly and swiftly ended Alicia's existence, without a second thought. Deep within Michael's being, he harbored a profound understanding of Alicia's vehement hatred towards him. He recognized the dangerous depths of her animosity, aware that if she were allowed to live, she would continue plotting against him relentlessly. He feared that her unrelenting hatred would erode her righteousness, transforming her into a force that could harm those dear to him, particularly Gaia, his soon-to-be wife. Having conversed with the previous Dark Lord, Michael had learned of the grim fate that awaited Gaia in countless other timelines, where death claimed her without fail. Determined to shield her from harm and ensure her survival, Michael made a solemn vow. He resolved to protect her at all costs, prepared to eliminate anyone who posed a threat to her safety, devoid of even the faintest trace of mercy. In his unwavering determination, Michael was willing to face the entire world, should it turn against him. His resolve to safeguard his beloved wife was unyielding, as he would go to any lengths necessary, even if it meant extinguishing countless lives, to ensure her continued existence. Following Alicia's demise, Michael's inner energy surged forth, breaking free from its suppressed state. His cultivation soared, propelling him from the fusion stage to the lofty realm of the half-celestial stage. The sheer power emanating from him caused a gentle whistling sound that resonated throughout the vicinity, a testament to his overwhelming aura. In a commanding gesture, Michael raised his hand and swiftly snapped his fingers. The crystals adorning the airships, which emitted a brilliant luminosity, shattered into countless fragments. As a consequence, darkness enveloped the Hulwick Isle and its surroundings once more, casting a shadow over the previously illuminated expanse. As the darkness engulfed the surroundings, Michael invoked the Cloak of Shadows, a mystical veil that encased him entirely. Within this shroud, his form became obscured, and dark flames flickered ominously around him. Hovering in mid-air, Michael slowly drew his dual dark swords from their scabbards, their blades gleaming with an eerie darkness. Meanwhile, the guardians of the guild stood resolute, prepared to defend their cause and fight to the bitter end. Warships, both in the sky and on the sea, adjusted their cannons and weapons, taking aim at the imposing figure of the Dark Lord. Undeterred by the immense disparity in cultivation, hundreds of guardians ascended into the sky, ready to confront Michael in a valiant aerial battle. As the Alpha Guardians, Roshan, Vivian, and Garrick soared through the sky with their troops, their eyes fixed on their sole adversary, Michael, the Dark Lord. The battle unfolded on a grand scale, with the fate of their world hanging in the balance. Roshan, with his commanding presence akin to a majestic lion, led the charge of the Beast Guardians. Golden-maned and resolute, he unleashed a primal roar that resonated across the battlefield. His fellow guardians, embodying the ferocity of untamed beasts, joined him in a synchronized assault. They pounced upon Michael, their claws tearing through the air with lightning speed, while others summoned the forces of nature to bind and hinder him. Vivian, her fiery-haired visage shimmering with mystic power, commanded the Sorcerer Guardians. Positioned strategically, she wove intricate spells that ignited the sky with bursts of dazzling energy. Her incantations summoned tempests of arcane lightning that crackled and danced, striking at Michael with relentless fury. She conjured swirling vortexes that unleashed gusts of wind, threatening to swallow him whole. Each spell cast by Vivian unleashed devastation, leaving trails of destruction in its wake. Garrick, the seasoned warrior with weathered armor and battle-hardened valor, stood at the forefront of the warrior guardians. His scarred countenance revealed a wealth of experience and determination. With his enchanted blade held firmly in hand, he led his comrades with unwavering resolve. Each swing of his sword sent shockwaves rippling through the air, cutting through the darkness that surrounded Michael. The warrior guardians fought with unyielding strength and skill, their weapons clashing against the formidable Dark Lord. Garrick's mere presence bolstered the morale of the warriors fighting alongside him, each strike they delivered carrying the weight of their collective resolve. The sky became a battlefield as the guardians and their troops engaged Michael, unleashing a symphony of fantastical powers and weapons. Vivian's spells intertwined with Roshan's relentless assaults, creating a tapestry of chaos and destruction. Explosions erupted, showering the heavens with cascades of vibrant colors. Vivian, harnessing the full force of her sorcery, conjured celestial fireballs that streaked across the sky, exploding upon impact with Michael. Each detonation sent shockwaves rippling through the atmosphere, rattling the very foundation of their reality. Roshan, in tandem, channeled ancient elemental forces, his power resonating through the sky. With a mighty roar, he summoned swirling tempests of wind and surges of crackling lightning. The very air around Michael became charged with raw energy, creating a tumultuous storm that threatened to engulf him. Dark clouds converged above, crackling with electricity and unleashing torrents of rain and hail, creating a chaotic backdrop to the battle in the heavens. As the battle raged on, Garrick's focus remained on Michael, the Dark Lord who floated ominously in the midst of the chaos. With an unwavering gaze, he prepared himself for the impending clash, his senses sharpened and instincts honed. Garrick's enchanted blade hummed with latent power, pulsating with the anticipation of the duel to come. Yet before Garrick could engage Michael directly, the clash of their weapons postponed, a powerful gust of wind swept through the sky, momentarily disrupting their trajectory. The wind, an extension of Roshan's elemental forces, buffeted Michael, threatening to knock him off balance. Sparks of electricity crackled around Garrick's armor as the clash of their energies electrified the air. The brilliance of their opposing forces illuminated the battlefield, casting an otherworldly glow on the combatants and their surroundings. As Roshan summoned ancient elemental forces, the sky transformed into a tempest of raging winds and crackling lightning. Dark clouds swirled above, unleashing bolts of energy that illuminated the battlefield with flashes of brilliance. Streams of fire and gushing torrents of water erupted from the heavens, threatening to consume their formidable adversary, who hovered effortlessly in the midst of the chaos. Meanwhile, Garrick, the epitome of warrior prowess, soared through the air with unwavering determination, his enchanted blade gleaming with a radiant aura. He zeroed in on Michael, the Dark Lord, who exuded an aura of dark power and unyielding resolve. With each calculated maneuver, Garrick closed the distance between them, his eyes locked on his target. The clash of their opposing forces was a sight to behold. Garrick's blade, guided by battle-hardened valor, slashed through the air with unmatched speed and precision, aiming to breach the Dark Lord's defenses. Yet, to the astonishment of the onlookers, Michael proved to be an elusive and formidable adversary. With a flicker of his hand, Michael effortlessly deflected Garrick's blade, his movements a graceful dance amidst the chaos. It was a display of supernatural skill and speed that left even the most seasoned warriors in awe. Without hesitation, Michael retaliated, his own weapon, wreathed in darkness, slashing through the air with lethal intent. In a heart-wrenching moment, the Dark Lord's blade found its mark. With a chilling swiftness, the razor-sharp edge sliced through the air, tearing through the defenses of Garrick's armor as though it were mere parchment. The clash of metal against metal rang out, drowning amidst the roaring winds of the sky. In a gruesome display of power, the Dark Lord's strike severed flesh and sinew, unleashing a torrent of crimson. Blood sprayed forth from Garrick's severed neck, a macabre fountain painting the air with a gruesome hue. As if suspended in time, Garrick's head, still bearing the shock of the battle in its opened eyes, flew through the air. The head, released from its now lifeless body, seemed to defy gravity for a fleeting moment. It was an image frozen in the minds of all who bore witness, a testament to the brutality and finality of the Dark Lord's strike. And then with a sickening thud, the head descended, lost forever to the depths below. With hearts heavy with grief and determination, the Guardians refused to yield to despair. The loss of Garrick only steeled their resolve to fight on, for their fallen comrade, and for the future of their world. Amidst the chaos of battle, there was no time for mourning or hesitation. In perfect synchronization, the warships unleashed their devastating firepower upon the Dark Lord Michael. Cannons roared and projectiles soared through the air, aiming to find their mark and weaken the formidable foe who hovered in the sky. Explosions rocked the battlefield, illuminating the darkened heavens with flashes of blinding light. Vivian, her fiery hair blazing with intensity, called upon ancient incantations to summon spells of unparalleled destruction. Arcane energy crackled around her as she unleashed torrents of flames, engulfing the sky in a fiery inferno. Her voice resonated with power as she chanted the ancient words, each syllable carrying the weight of her unwavering determination. Roshan, his commanding presence undeterred by the loss of his comrade, rallied the remaining Guardians. His voice boomed like thunder as he roared across the battlefield, his words echoing through the hearts of all who fought alongside him. For Garrick, for our fallen brethren, we fight for justice and the salvation of our world. Strike with all your might. Show no mercy. The Guardians, their voices blending into a chorus of defiance, echoed Roshan's battle cry. Their shouts filled the air as they unleashed their fury upon the Dark Lord. Swords clashed, spears thrust, and arrows found their targets. Each Guardian fought with unwavering courage, their spirits aflame with the determination to vanquish the source of darkness that threatened their existence. The sky became a mesmerizing tapestry of chaos and illumination as spells collided with cannon fire. Brilliant streaks of vibrant energy cut through the air, intermingling with explosions that painted the heavens in a kaleidoscope of colors. The sky crackled and shimmered with the raw power unleashed, a breathtaking display of light and fury that bore witness to the epic clash between the Guardians and the Dark Lord. Roshan's voice thundered through the chaos. Unleash your fury, Guardians! For Garrick's sacrifice, we shall prevail. Vivian's fiery gaze met Michael's evasive movements, her voice resolute. No corner of the sky shall shield you from our wrath, Dark Lord. The Guardians, undeterred by their adversary's nimble evasion, continued their onslaught with unwavering determination. With each missed shot and deflected spell, the Dark Lord's confidence seemed to grow, his movements displaying an almost unearthly grace as he danced through the barrage unscathed. It was as if the very air bent to his will, allowing him to evade their every strike without a hint of exertion. As the Dark Lord effortlessly evaded the spells and left shimmering afterimages in his wake, his voice echoed through the sky with a chilling calmness. Behold, Guardians, he began, his tone filled with subtle amusement. Allow me to share a story with you. Once there was an ant, so small and insignificant. It dreamed of moving a mountain, exerting all its strength to no avail. The mountain remained steadfast, immovable. Do you see the parallel, Guardians? He continued to evade their attacks, his movements graceful and calculated. You are the ants, and I am the mountain. No matter how hard you try, your efforts are futile against my might. His words carried a sense of superiority, amplifying the frustration of the Guardians as they struggled to land a single blow. With each evasion, the Dark Lord seemed to grow more confident, playing with them as if they were mere pawns in his grand design. As the Dark Lord's story reached its conclusion, he abruptly halted his movements, suspending himself in mid-air. The Guardians, momentarily frozen by his words, watched in horror as he raised his hand. A wave of dark flames surged forth, engulfing the surrounding warships and the Guardians in a torrent of infernal destruction. The once mighty vessels, their cannons still blazing, were reduced to mere embers, consumed by the unstoppable blaze. The Guardians' cries, filled with determination just moments before, were abruptly cut short as the flames licked hungrily at their forms. Their valiant spirits and hopes turned to ash, fading away in the devastating heat, leaving behind only a haunting silence in the wake of their annihilation. The sky, once vibrant with the clash of powers, now bore witness to the grim aftermath, where only charred remnants and the echoes of despair remained. You're tuning in to the Wisdom Diary YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.